The Toronto Argonauts are confident, having beaten the Edmonton Eskimos the last 4 times they played them. You are looking live at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton as the road to the Grey Cup continues on CBC Sports.
CBC Sports presents Saturday Night Football, the CFL on CBC.
At 5:11 Eastern Time on Labor Day in Calgary, Edmonton's Henry Gizmo Williams tied a single-season CFL record as he registered his 3rd punt return touchdown of the year. They always come to see the Gizmo, and tonight, Toronto punter Hank Ilisic, the best in the league, will make any Gizmo runbacks long ones. 2.5 hours after Williams' Labor Day runback, the Argonauts got a specialty team game-breaking play against Hamilton from Mr. Excitement, Darnell Clash. Edmonton punter Jerry Carrick's instructions are simple. Kick it long and keep it away from Clash. Toronto head coach Bob Obilovich is happy with his specialty teams. Joe Ferraghelli is happy with his, although he believes his Eskimos are better than their 6-4 record. Welcome from wherever you're watching to the CFL on CBC. It's Saturday night.
CFL on CBC. Brought to you by Carling O'Keefe Breweries. The CFL, it's the game around here. Petro-Canada dealers and agents. Our energy is Canada. And by Air Canada, celebrating 50 years of serving Canadians at home and around the world.
Good evening, everybody. The Edmonton Eskimos are a surly lot, and their bad mood can be traced back to their Labor Day loss to the Calgary Stampeders. The Eskimos will try to make the Toronto Argonauts pay for that loss tonight, but collecting could be difficult because the Argos have won 8 of the last 10 games these two teams have played. Don Whitman rejoins us tonight, and he is with Ron Lancaster.
Thanks, Scott, and hi, everybody. Well, in that win over the Hamilton Tiger Cats on Monday, Danny Barrett emerged as the game's star, coming off the bench. But, Ron, despite those heroics, John Congemi is the starter tonight.
He sure is, and I think maybe they've stumbled upon a good thing. John Congemi will start. If he's going well, he'll stay in there. Danny Barrett has proved now coming off the bench to be very successful as a quarterback. So they know we may see both of them, but on the Edmonton side, Damon Allen is going to start. They want him to go the whole way. Matt Dunnigan's dressed. They would like to rest him. When they throw that ball downfield, which they want to do tonight, they've got 2 excellent wide receivers to throw to. Stephon Jones with great speed, Brian Kelly with the great moves. They can make life pretty miserable tonight for the cornerbacks of the Toronto Argonauts. Reggie Pleasant with 4 interceptions leads the Argonauts. Darnell Clash will get a workout not only on the corner, but he will get a workout tonight returning punts, and he could be a game breaker just like Williams.
Talking about workouts, Chris Schultz at offensive tackle might get one, contending with the man who leads the league in sacks, Stuart Hill of the Eskimos.
Well, that should be a good matchup. Chris Schultz at 6'8" and about 275 pounds. He's going to have his hands for any time he gets Stu Hill lined up across from him. 33 sacks for the Eskimos. Stuart Hill has 15 of them by himself. Could be very interesting up front.
The second battle of the season between the Eskimos and the Argos promises to be a dandy. We'll have the kickoff in just a moment. Right now, let's go down to Scott O.
Don, salary cuts are a hot topic in the CFL these days, and at halftime and inside the CFL, we'll be joined live by a player who, along with all his teammates, was convinced about a week ago he should accept a cut in pay. Edmonton's Hector Pothier will be with us, and we'll meet one of the CFL's most unheralded, but yet one of the most effective linebackers in the league, Toronto's Don Moen. That's at halftime and inside the CFL. The opening kickoff is next when we return.
Ladies' choice, CFL style. Be part of the CFL's 75th Grey Cup season. The CFL, a great Canadian tradition.
Hi again, everybody, back at Commonwealth Stadium, and it's been an absolutely gorgeous day in the Alberta capital. And I think I like the 90% opportunity of no rain better than the 10% chance of rain. Ken Lazaruk is the man in charge of the officiating staff for tonight's ball game. And in just a moment, the crew will be getting this game underway. The Eskimos smarting from that loss to the Calgary Stampeders on Labor Day, and the Toronto Argonauts coming off that victory over the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Henry Williams and Stefan Jones are back to accept the opening kickoff by Lance Chummick. I think that we may try and see the Toronto Argonauts kick the ball away from Henry Williams, but the fellow on the other side of the field, Stefan Jones, is no slouch when it comes to returning kickoffs. The Argos victors over the Edmonton Eskimos when they met on August 7th at CNA Stadium in Toronto. The score in that one, 23-20. That game proved costly for the Eskimos. They lost Matt Dunnigan, their quarterback, in the process. This is his first game back in uniform since that injury. Stefan Jones on the kickoff return, and Jones is brought down at the 39-yard line by Jake Vaughn. So Damon Allen leads the Eskimo offense out onto the field, 1st and 10 at the 39 after that 30-yard run back by Jones.
Yeah, you'll have Chris Johnstone and Chris Skinner in the backfield with him. Milson Jones is out with a rib injury tonight. In the receivers, same as always, Tom Richards and Marco Sincar work inside. Up front, Rudy Phillips is back, and that means Bill Stevenson moves back to his tackle position.
Damon Allen indicated that the Eskimos might attempt to go deeper on the Argos than they did in the last meeting back on August 7th. He was looking over on the sidelines for Stefan Jones. It will be 2nd and 10. Jones was being covered by Reggie Pleasant.
And a pretty good defense it is. They're low in statistics, but they're winning football games, and that's all really matters. Gerald Bayless will cause a lot of problems on the nose tonight over top of the center. The linebackers are solid. Doug Landry, the coach, is really impressed the way he played last week against Hamilton. And in the secondary, one change. Dave Daniels comes in for Duran Major, who was injured, but it's a pretty solid defense.
2nd and 10 from the 39-yard line. Sideline to Kelly, 1st down for the Eskimos. He took that pass in front of Darnell Clash.
Well, the Argonauts like to play that zone defense, and they're going to drop back, try to get underneath it. But we know this, they're going to work on those corners because they like to hit the inside receivers with the halfbacks, and that makes them late getting outside. So they're going to try to work on Pleasant and Clash on out patterns.
Kelly could be the first receiver in the CFL this year to go over 1,000 yards. Damon Allen looks over the middle, and it's complete for a big 1st down for Rick House, who is back in the lineup after suffering an injury that many thought would put an end to the season for Rick House back in August.
Yeah, they need him in there. He's got a lot of strength, and he's a strong receiver. He can usually take a pounding, but when you catch the ball inside, injuries are part of the game to those inside receivers, and he's had all he wants in his career.
1st and 10, the Eskimos at the Toronto Argonaut 34-yard line. Chris Johnston is to the 30-yard line for a pickup of about 4. The Eskimos without Milson Jones tonight. Milson Jones suffered an injury. He could have played had it been absolutely necessary, but as Joe Farragelli said, we have Blake Marshall, we've got Johnson and Skinner, so we're pretty much set at that running back position.
Well, the big thing, too, it gets the opportunity to get Marshall on the roster. He's a good special teams guy, and if he gets into the game, they'd love to see him carry the football, so that's a good opportunity to do that without risking injury to Jones.
2nd and 6. Allen will try to throw. He won't get a chance. Doug Landry was the first man through, then Rodney Harding came in to finish the job.
Well, Harding's the leader of that defensive front with sacks anyway, and that's number 10 for him on the season. He's been a very steady performer for the Argonauts, as has that entire front 4 of the Argonauts. They have put constant pressure. They don't lead the league in sacks. In fact, they've only got 29, which puts them down low as far as statistics go, but they get the job done, and they're getting better.
So Jerry Carrick will try and put the Eskimos on the board first in the ball game with a field goal from 42 yards out. And from this range, he has only attempted 1 this year and has not been successful. And he is still unsuccessful from outside the 40-yard line as he hit the upright.
I still get amazed at that, I mean, all that air out there, he hits that little hole.
He could stand there all day and try and do it, and he wouldn't have any success.
You should aim at it. If you aim at those poles, you'll never miss it. You'll never hit them. Pulled it a little bit. If it hits the inside, it'll squeeze through. hits it dead on, comes right back at him.
So Cowrick misses on his attempt at putting the Eskimos on the board, and the Argos take over their first offensive series from the 25-yard line. Conjemi gives to Warren Hudson. He fumbles the ball, and who's got it? It's still loose, and I think the Eskimos have recovered. Brian Warren put the first hit on Hudson, popping that ball high in the air. About 4 players had a shot at it before Junior Robinson managed to cover it.
Tough way for the Argonauts to start. They come out and run the football on first down and have a big hole. Watch the blocking on the left side of that line from Dan Ferroni. They get him into the secondary, and there's the ball. It's popped loose. I couldn't see exactly who hit it, but I would assume there was a guy from the secondary because he was coming up. As you say, big break for the Eskimos.
11:51 is the time remaining in this opening quarter. It's 1st and 10 Edmonton from the 38 of the Toronto Argonauts. Stefan Jones, and he's tackled immediately by David Daniels, the new man in that Toronto Argonauts secondary.
Well, that's what Coach Fergelli told us when we were talking with him early. The inside halfbacks of the Argonauts, and he had Daniels in Montreal. He wants to come up and really level that inside receiver, and when he does that, he can't get outside to stop that type of a pattern.
Daniels was with Winnipeg, signed as a free agent with the Blue Bombers. He went to Montreal along with James Hood in that deal a year ago. Kelly is wide open, and he's wrestled down by Darnell Clash, but not before the Eskimos pick up another first down.
A lot of time to throw for Damon Allen, and when he gets a lot of time, Brian Kelly, with those great moves we talked about and that everybody has seen over his career, he will get open.
So it's 1st and 10 for Edmonton. They are now at the 17 of the Argos. The Argos, through the first 4 minutes and 20 seconds of this ball game, have run only one offensive play. And they've got another big defensive play from a blitzing Selwyn Drain.
Well, they bring the linebacker and the halfback. And when the linebacker comes, the back for Eskimos steps over and picks him up, but there's nobody left to pick up Selwyn Drain, and he comes in untouched and gets the sack in a big loss.
Bob Ovilovich spoke highly of the play of Selwyn Drain and the victory over the Hamilton Tiger Cats on Labor Day.
Well, he's performed well for him right from the beginning of the season. They picked him up on waivers from the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and he's been a starter since he's gotten here, and he's gotten stronger every week. So, as we said, they're a young team, but they're improving all the time.
2nd and 22, penalty flags fly, and it appears as though it could be a legal procedure against the Eskimos.
Legal procedure, number 9, Edmonton.
Has to be a legal procedure, Don. When a quarterback puts his hands under the center, if he comes out without the football, regardless of what else happens, the rule says it's illegal procedure on the quarterback.
10:01, the time remaining in this opening quarter. It is still scoreless here at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. The second game of the season between the Eskimos and the Argos. 23-20 was the verdict in favor of Toronto on August 7th at CNE Stadium in Toronto. 2nd and 27. Kelly to the right. Here's the draw play with Chris Johnston. He had a big hole and gets inside the 20-yard line. He got back about 16 of those yards as he was stopped by Dan Sellers, but that means a field goal attempt on 3rd and 11.
Oh, they'll very gladly give up those type of yardage on a draw play. They needed like 25, 30 yards for a 1st and 10. Give him all he wants as long as he doesn't make the first down, force him to kick the field goal. The only thing it does is allow Clark to kick from it a little closer.
And this kick will come from 27 yards, and you saw what his success ratio is from this range. And he puts the Eskimos on the board with 9:20 remaining in the first quarter here at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton.
I'm in the stands at Commonwealth Stadium with Edmonton defensive back James Bell. 1 week tonight will be the anniversary of the injury he suffered at BC Place. Many thought he would never walk again. He's walking fine around Commonwealth Stadium tonight. James, are you amazed at the extent of your recovery as everybody else is?
Yes, I am to an extent. I knew with my faith and my belief that I was going to be able to come out of this thing. I just learned to be patient from it off, and it looks good right now.
First game, I understand, that you've seen live. How does it feel watching your teammates?
It really hasn't set in yet. The first quarter is still going here, and I'm just kind of getting a feel for it, being a fan rather than just being on the field. But I'll probably have a comment for you later on that.
Well, they say you're still part of the team, very much so. You're looking good. Thanks for joining us. Don?
Thank you.
All right, Scott, and we had an opportunity to visit with James prior to the start of the ball game, and he said one of the key things in his recovery has been his mental attitude, and he certainly has a positive approach to his recovery.
Boy, sure does. In fact, Hugh Campbell introduced me to him. We're standing over here talking, and James told Hugh Campbell he wished he could put him down on the sidelines. He says, anybody went by the bench, I'd get him. Hugh asked him if he'd trip him with the cane. He said, if I miss him with that, I'd jump right on their backs.
Jake Vaughn returned that kickoff to the 32-yard line. First and 10 for the Argos. John Congemi, the quarterback, throwing deep for Smith. He's got it. Inside the 40. They faked the screen and went deep, and this is something that Bob Obilovich said they would try to do. A 34-yard gain, trying to get Darrell Smith going deep down that seam, working against the safety, Junior Robinson.
Well, they love to throw this screen out to the flanker anyway, so he fakes it. That brings the defensive backs up. He's got three people going deep. They can't all be covered. Nice catch by Darrell Smith right out on the fingertips. Big play, and that's what they need against this Eskimo club.
Ball positioned at the 38-yard line. First and 10. Tony Johns is stopped at the 35-yard line. Be a pickup of 3. Stuart Hill was there to halt his progress.
Right down by Stuart Hill.
Matt Dunnigan injured late in the game when these two teams met on August 7th. Matt said he'd like to see some action tonight. Joe Farragelli said, I'd just as soon have him remain on the bench and get another week's rest.
Yeah, that's much better for him. With the type of injury he had, that hamstring pulled way up high. It doesn't take too much to pull it again. The more rest, the better.
Second and 7. There's the screen, the hitch screen to Joyner. He fumbles the ball, but the Argos this time were fortunate that Dan Ferroni was there to fall on it and cover up. That's the second time the Argos have lost the football tonight. The first one, the Eskimos scooped up. This one, Ferroni recovered.
That's one of the times when missing a block isn't so bad. He missed his block, but the ball ended up on the ground. It's one thing, they've got to control the kicking game. That means Gizmo Williams, naturally, they don't want to turn it over, and those fumbles aren't going to help Bob Obilovich's hair any. He'll lose some more before this game's over if they do that too many times. 2 already in this opening quarter, and 1 led to the field goal by Cowrick. Here's a field goal attempt by Lance Chomik, and this game is tied. A 41-yard field goal by Lance Chomik with 7:12 remaining in the opening quarter. Well, time of possession in this opening quarter will heavily favor the Eskimos, but the score is tied at 3. The Argos have run only 4 offensive plays. Yeah, the only thing that matters is that thing on the scoreboard, and right now it's tied. That's the big thing. Bob Obilovich with an opportunity to vault past the Hamilton Tiger Cats into second place, and Joe Farragelli trying to keep pace with the BC Lions in the Western Division. The Lions coming off that lopsided win last night over the Ottawa Rough Riders, 55-16. Stefan Jones on the kickoff return. Gizmo Williams trying to throw a block for him. He does. And Jones fights his way out to the 54-yard line. Reggie Pleasant was there to make the tackle with help from Selwyn Drain. A 31-yard run back after a 53-yard kickoff. Well, the strategy of the Argos in kicking the ball away from Williams hasn't worked that well so far. Yeah, it must be nice to have 2 guys like this. Everybody talks about Williams, but Stefan Jones is second in the CFL in kickoff returns. You see, the big thing the guy back there, his partner, has to do is help him when he returns a kick. Williams went up and made a block. Jones goes wide to the left on this 1st and 10 play from the 53-yard line. A penalty flag flies. Damon Allen swings it out to Chris Skinner. And Skinner is stopped as he gets to the 53 of the Argos by Reggie Pleasant. This is what that Toronto defense wants to do. They want to drop back in a zone. They want to drop back into that zone, force you to drop the ball off to the backs like that. Sure, he gained 3 yards with it, but it still keeps you in a passing situation. So what they want to do is try to get that ball downfield a little further. So the illegal procedure call against the Eskimos takes the ball back to the 47-yard line. It will be 1st and 15.
Illegal motion was a call against the Eskimos.
The Eskimos come out in the same formation. Jones left, Kelly to the right. Allen fakes as though he's going to dump it over the middle, and he tried to scoot up the middle, but Gerald Bayless was having none of that.
That was supposed to be a quick pattern. You could tell by the drop of Damon Allen. He didn't take it and turn and go back and sit up. He just kind of backed out there, and he was going to pop it over the line of scrimmage. And either the guy was covered or wasn't looking, but he pulled it down, and when he pulled it down, right into Gerald Bayless. Number 99, right over the center. They figure no center in the league can block him one-on-one. Good job, though, by Conant, but finally, when the quarterback steps up, he's going to be there to make the play. But that's a good job of blocking by Conant.
2nd and 16. There was actually a loss of 1. Pressure on Allen again. He tried to dump it off, but they whistled it. The play had been called dead back at the 37-yard line. David Daniels was blitzing from his halfback position, and that was a dangerous maneuver on the part of Damon Allen to flip that ball away as he did.
You'll find you're better off to go ahead and take the loss than to try to flip things underhand. One of them big linemen pick it off, and he can go 40 yards with it in about 4.5 seconds. So you're better to take that 6 or 7, 10-yard loss even. What's the difference? But keep the ball.
There was also a penalty flag on the play, a rough play call against the Toronto Argonauts. That takes the ball back to the 53-yard line.
It'll be 1st and 10, Edmonton, the ball on 53.
See what it is.
It appeared to be the middle linebacker, Doug Landry, involved with Leo Blanchard. But it's 1st down, Edmonton, from the 53. Kelly on the sidelines, and he was out of bounds. Covered by Darnell Clash. It will be 2nd and 10.
One thing about rolling out or sprinting out to the wide side of the field, as soon as you show the action as Damon Allen showed coming wide, that's going to bring Rick Ryan, the safety man, right over the top, and that's going to really help Darnell Clash on those patterns with Brian Kelly, and it will allow him to crowd him and get right in his hip pocket, which he did there.
2nd and 10 from the 53-yard line. Stephan Jones off to the left. Ryan Kelly wide right. 5:09 is the time remaining in this opening quarter. Here comes Daniels. He was blitzing, still in pursuit of Damon Allen, and now some help from Willie Pless, who forces Allen out of bounds. Daniels flushed quarterback Damon Allen out of the pocket as the Argos used that halfback blitz again. They did not blitz all that much the first time they met at CNE Stadium.
No, but this is something in that 17-day period that they had off before that last Hamilton game that they have worked on, and they've got it down pretty well. Now they hope to get a real kickoff for a punt return by Darnell Clash. He's going to get his opportunity because Carter kicks it high, so they got to get down there and cover it. What I like what Farragelli said, we asked him if he's going to kick it out of bounds. He said, heck no, we'll kick it down the field and cover it. We're not afraid of him.
Darnell Clash standing at the 5-yard line for this 3rd down kickoff, Jerry Carrick. And he does kick it high. Clash fields it at the 10. And he is stopped at the 17-yard line. Blake Dermott was the first man downfield. An 8-yard run back after a 44-yard kick. Scott?
Well, Don, the last time we covered a game here in Edmonton was August the 1st. It was the day after that disastrous tornado, and this water, or this field, I should say, was underwater the morning of the game. As wet as it was that night, it took a terrible beating. It is back in first-class shape now. In fact, NFL people who have seen this field say it is the 2nd finest natural football turf in all of North America, second only to Anaheim. It's very lush, it's very green. As a result, it's the CFL surface that CFL players most like to play on. Don?
Yes, they enjoy performing here at Commonwealth Stadium. Damon Allen was telling me before the game 13 times a year. He said, I love it.
Well, when we were walking around on it before the game, it's just in such great shape. The people in the city of Edmonton do a great job with this field, and Scott gave the credentials, and it is a nice one.
Stanley Blair stopping Calvin Mohammed after a gain of 9. It will be 2nd and 1 from the 26-yard line. Warren Hudson gets the first down. He stopped at the 36.
When you have a guy like Calvin Mohammed, last week against the Ticats, Jimmy put one right on his fingertips, and he had a step and a half on the defender. If he catches it, he's gone. He's got great speed. So on that first down pattern, when they throw it out there, Stanley Blair's got to stay off of him, and as a result, he got 9.5 yards and made the second down an easy pickup for them.
With Mohammed returning to the Argos, they feel their receiving corps is as good as any team in the league, and it's pretty tough to argue with them. Gil Fennerty, the ball carrier. Fennerty picked up 1, maybe 2 yards before being driven back by John Mandarich.
That's Gary Dirchik talking to Damon Allen and Tracy Ham, the other quarterback there. They were there in the picture first. We'll talk it over with Sincard, discuss the pattern, see where he can find some holes in that Argonaut zone.
Dirchik, the former head coach of the Montreal Alouettes, an assistant with the Edmonton Eskimos, and his responsibilities are along that offensive line here in Edmonton. Second down play from Jemmy, throwing intended for, I think, Joyner, but Paul Pearson also had a shot at it.
Yeah, he did have a shot at it. I wasn't really sure who it was going to, but the Eskimos came with a blitz up front, got the pressure naturally from who we said they'd get it from, Stuart Hill. He just threw it a little bit high. Now Pearson's going to go down. Number 1, Darrell Smith's in the flat. Pearson tries to find the hole behind it. The ball's thrown a little bit high. And as a result, we'll see what happens. Ken Joyner stopped. He usually clears that out of there. He's supposed to take off.
Hank Olisic preparing to kick, and Henry Gizmo Williams standing back there on an attempted return. And he would love to run one back. Good kick by Olisic. Williams takes it at the 25. He's gone. Henry Gizmo Williams equals a CFL record.
Don, you know what the amazing part of it is? They were setting the wall to this side of the field, and I knew when he split the first 2 guys, if he got behind the wall, he would go. He didn't even go behind the wall. He went away from it and did it by himself. What an excellent run.
4 punt returns for touchdowns in one season, that one of 86 yards. That equals a 21-year record. 5 touchdowns on punt returns set by Ron Howell, who played with Hamilton, BC, Toronto, and Montreal from 1954 through 66. That's 5 punt returns for touchdowns in his career. Williams has only been in the league for 2 seasons.
I think he might have a shot at breaking that one.
The point after, and with the 86-yard punt return by Henry Williams, and the point after, the Eskimos lead by 7. The kickoff, and Dwight Edwards on the return for the Argos. He has speed as well, out to the 44-yard line. Henry Gizmo Williams was running laps prior to the game. We talked to him and reminded him of his performance of 221 yards on June the 27th against Calgary, and he said, I hope you guys are my good luck charm again tonight.
Well, the amazing part there is, if you see all the green jerseys on this side of the field, usually you run on the other side of them when they set a wall up. He just ran through everybody, picked up 1 or 2 blocks, and did the rest by himself. That's just a good effort, and that's what that thing that you talk about all the time, speed.
And an end zone celebration for Henry Williams as we return to the live action. A sideline pass. It's incomplete. It was intended for Gil Fennerty. Williams setting a CFL record with 4 punt returns for touchdowns with that 86-yard dash against the Argos. He had 2 back on June 27th in that game against Calgary, and then 1 on Labor Day at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. And that, as I mentioned earlier, equals the career record of 5 set by Ron Howell. 2nd and 10. Jemmy was looking for Calvin Mohammed. It's incomplete. There's a penalty flag. Stanley Blair was defending against Mohammed.
They're going to do 1 or 2 things. Let's see what the call is first.
Offside, Edmonton number 20.
All right, well, we have Don Wilson. Well, I was going to say, when you see that Eskimo defense crowd the line of scrimmage, the quarterback has got to make the read of some sort of a blitz, and especially a halfback blitz. Mohammed has one of two choices. He either slants to the inside or just takes off and outruns them. They weren't on the same page. Conjemi was looking for the slant. Mohammed went outside.
1:21 is the time remaining in the opening quarter. 10-3. The Eskimos lead the Argos. Second and 5. Conjemi with time, trying to swing it out, and he succeeds. Looking for Gil Fennerty, but he was out of bounds. So the Argos will be forced into a punting situation again. And this time, the fans won't buzz in anticipation as Williams remains on the bench and Tom Richards drops back. He's the lone man back for the Edmonton Eskimos, and the fans boo just a little. They're not happy to see Richards back there rather than Henry Williams. Richards puts his head down and drives up to the 25-yard line where he's stopped by Bruce Elliott. Some of those boos could also be directed at former Edmonton punter Hank Alisic. That kick 51 yards, the return 14.
Yeah, every time he comes back to Edmonton, the fans get on him real good. They started on the first one and they booed him pretty good, but when Williams ran it for a touchdown, they were happy. But I think they were hoping to see a repeat performance, but Williams is sitting down there still taking oxygen.
First and 10, the Eskimos at their own 25 with 30 seconds remaining in the opening quarter, and the Eskimos in front by a score of 10-3. Draw play with Chris Skinner, and he picks up about 7 yards before being stopped by the linebacker Willie Pless, who leads the Toronto Argonauts in tackles. Chris Skinner, a product of Bishop's University. That's a pretty impressive stat when you consider that they've thrown the least passes and have the most yards.
Yeah, and the other thing, as far as completions go, they're next to the last as far as completions, so they're getting good mileage out of every one they throw.
Complete along the sidelines for a first down to Chris Skinner. And that is also the end of the first quarter with the Edmonton Eskimos in front by 7. Well, we always enjoy our visits to Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton, and we were talking with John Conjemi, the rookie Argo quarterback, prior to the game, and he said how impressed he was with this football facility in the Alberta capital.
Well, you have to be. This is a great place to come and play.
Damon Allen finds his receiver on the far side, and Rick House takes it out of bounds for a first down at the 53-yard line. Selwyn Drain was there to make the tackle. Statistically, the Edmonton Eskimos, as one would expect, leading by a score of 10-3, have the edge. They also lead in time of possession. Over the first 5 minutes of the football game, they had a decided advantage in that category. First and 10 from the 53. Stefan Jones will have a gain of about 5 yards. Reggie Pleasant was there to make the tackle.
Well, I think they were anticipating a zone defense on first down, but they don't. They get man-to-man coverage, but Pleasant, as we said, he can't come up close on Stefan Jones. He's got great speed. Give him a little bit of a cushion. What? Just comes off the ball, stop dead, face the quarterback. All right, catch it. Now try to get outside, but he can't do it. Number 2, Pleasant does his job. Make him come inside. If he comes outside, I got you.
Damon Allen on second down, fires another strike. Brian Kelly is stopped at the 10-yard line. He took that throw in front of Darnell Clash for another big first down, and that should also put Kelly over 1,000 yards for the season in pass receiving.
I'll tell you, Brian Kelly, watch the collision with Darnell Clash. He's just going to run a curl, tries to come in. Clash hits him, doesn't even knock him off balance. Kelly makes that catch and spins outside. And once again, the guy with no speed almost goes. Coming back to get him is Selwyn Drain. But that is excellent balance by Brian Kelly.
So it's a first and goal situation for the Eskimos from just inside the 10-yard line. Damon Allen flipping it into the end zone. Nobody there.
Good move. 4 receivers to one side of the field, and when Johnstone goes up the middle, it causes a little bit of indecision by the Toronto secondary, and no one picked him up. Damon just threw it a little bit too far. But when you send 4 quick, it puts the pressure on the defense.
Well, I said that Brian Kelly would be close to 1,000 yards. He hasn't quite hit it yet. He has 3 receptions for 67. Came into the game needing 79 yards. Damon Allen doesn't get a chance to throw as a blitzing linebacker, Don Moan, drops him back at the 23-yard line. And Don Moan has been one of the most durable Argos over the years, and we'll meet him at halftime.
Okay, we said they like to bring the halfback too. Here comes Selwyn Drain. Blanchard goes out to pick him up. They cause a little bit of the indecision again, and they turn Don Moan loose inside. So when you bring those 2 guys together, you must make a decision. One you can block, one you can't.
The Argos have been getting pretty good pressure tonight on Damon Allen.
Well, I think last week it started in the Hamilton game when they sacked the quarterback 6 times. That's a lot against Hamilton. Going into last week, Hamilton had given up the fewest sacks. They got 6.
Jerry Carrick with a 28-yard field goal, increasing the Edmonton advantage to 10 points. Well, the Toronto Argonauts have played what appears to be a fairly sound defensive game so far, and yet they trail by 10 points. And one of the reasons is an 86-yard punt return for a touchdown by Henry Gizmo Williams.
I like the way he sits on the bench. He sits up on the back. Of course, when you're that short, you're not going to see it with those big linemen, but look where he sits.
That's where you used to perch most of the time, wasn't it?
And I stood up.
Dwight Edwards and Jake Vaughn are back for this kickoff. Dwight Edwards takes it at the 10-yard line. And he struggles out to the 31. Stopped there by Junior Robinson. That was a 22-yard run back after a 67-yard kickoff. And John Kajemi gets his final instructions from Coach Bob Obilovich. Obilovich was telling us in that game against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, as we look at the coverage team and Larry Ruck taking on that wall that the Argos tried to set up, that he decided to make a quarterbacking change at Ivor Wynne Stadium before they really got into an awkward situation.
Yeah, he wanted to do it in the 3rd quarter. They're going to throw that screen out to Mohammed. Excellent play by Stanley Blair. But what they wanted to do, neither team had an offense going into the first half down in Hamilton. He decided he'd put Barrett in at the start of the 3rd quarter. If Barrett didn't get it going in the 3rd quarter, he'd come back with Kajemi. He didn't want to wait till halfway through the 4th quarter and then ask Barrett to go in and win it. That's pretty tough to do.
So what I was leading up to is we might see exactly the same thing tonight.
Oh, no doubt about it. He'll get the 2nd quarter, but if they don't get the offense going, we're going to see Barrett in the 3rd.
2nd and 11. Here's the blitz with Warren coming from the outside. Kajemi gets the pass away. It's incomplete. Both the receiver and the defender tripped. It was Joyner, the intended receiver, and the man who was covering was Steve Benjamin as John Kajemi limps off to the sidelines. He moved out of the pocket to throw that ball, and he may have got clipped as he came running up there. And Danny Barrett, who emerged as the hero in that Labor Day win over the Ticats, may see action a little earlier than anticipated here at Commonwealth Stadium.
Yeah, he escaped the rush. He stepped up inside it, but when he threw the football, somebody came down and landed on the back of his leg. That's probably what happened to him.
This time there's no doubt the boos are directed at Hank Alisic as he kicks the ball for the Argos, and will Henry Williams get a chance to pick it up? He just drops on it as it was rolling back to the line of scrimmage, and he falls in the football at the 52 of the Toronto Argonauts. So that will be excellent field position after a 26-yard kick by Hank Alisic.
Well, at least it's 26 in their favor. The last time he kicked a heck of a kick down the field, Gizmo ran it back 80-some yards for the touchdown. Maybe that's a fair exchange.
The Eskimos indicated that they would be attempting to pressure Hank Alisic, trying to get through, because the Argos have had some difficulties in getting that ball back cleanly to him in all punting situations.
Yeah, a little bit erratic. You know, they dropped one on BC for a touchdown to Keith Gooch, and then last week snapped one over the top of his head.
The drop play with Chris Skinner produces a gain of about 7 yards. It will be 2nd and 3. And it was Willie Pless, the linebacker, who made the tackle. Damon Allen indicates to the bench that it is 2nd down and 3, and they're going to send in the short yardage unit. Willie Pless was injured at the start of the year, but has come back and rebounded in a big way to lead the Argos in tackles, and he's 2nd overall in the CFL.
You know, and it's amazing looking at him. He's not a big guy, but boy, he takes the blockers on. I mean, he can step up there and deliver a good blow and neutralize it and then get off and make the hit.
Movement at the line of scrimmage before the ball was even snapped. And it will be a procedure call against the Edmonton Eskimos.
I've got the quarterback. No, quarterback gets on. Number 9, Edmonton legal procedure.
Well, we saw the left end move for sure, but as he said, that quarterback moved out of there again. Let's see what he does. Here he comes, starting back without the ball. Seeing his hands aren't there anymore, automatic infraction, and no doubt they got to lose 5 yards.
I think Damon Allen may have been reacting to the movement of James Zachary, who was over on the left side. Allen with good time, and he hits Rick House coming out of that backfield, and Rick House trying to stay in bounds. He succeeds. He can't quite get to the end zone. He is forced out at the 3. Both David Daniels and Don Lone had good shots at Rick House prior to him stepping out of bounds, but he was able to scamper down the sidelines for 47 yards.
A lot of times you got a zone coverage on the left side of the field, man-to-man on this side. When Rick House comes from the zone side to the man-to-man, there's nobody with him. So he makes the catch, and now it's just his ability to go up that sideline. It shows like he's got some speed back. He's healthy again, gets it down inside the 5-yard line.
House comes out as the Eskimos send in that short yardage offense with 9:15 remaining in this 2nd quarter. It is 1st and goal, and the ball is at the 3. Blake Marshall fumbles the football. It's recovered in the end zone by the Argos, I believe. Reggie Pleasant appears to have come up with that football, much to the relief of Bob Obilovich. Blake Marshall, in striving for additional yards, had it pop away, and the Argos recover in the end zone.
Well, it's just that short yardage. They got all the horses in there. You see Blake Marshall try to go over the top. Pless and Landry are there. The ball pops loose. I thought for sure Stuart Hill was going to fall on it. Now, Reggie Pleasant's got 4 interceptions, but that recovery of that fumble right there when you're trailing 13-3 may be the biggest play of the season for him.
Conjemi throwing to the sidelines for Joyner, and Joyner is forced out of bounds at the 52-yard line by Steve Benjamin.
Well, Steve Benjamin gets back into the lineup tonight because of the injury inside. Ron Howard moved inside, and Benjamin's a very aggressive corner. He came up and tried to put the hit on Joyner. Joyner just spins away from him. You see Craig Schaefer runs right into the referee. I don't think he's going to catch him anyway. Joyner at 5'9", only 170 pounds. He's also a big play man. They've got that side of the Toronto Argonaut offense with Joyner and Darryl Smith. They have been the producers so far this year.
Joyner is the number 2 receiver for the Argos. Deep intended for Pearson. It is intercepted by Ron Howard.
Well, they had success with that play the first time they tried it. They fooled the Eskimos with it. They did not fool them this time. I think if we get a replay of this, we'll see Ron Howard. They just dropped deep and stayed there, and they tried to split the seam, and he tried to throw it through 2 guys. You just can't do it.
Well, Bob Obilovich breathed a sigh of relief when Blake Marshall fumbled into the end zone, and Pleasant recovered, but he's not quite as happy with that interception by Howard.
You see him pump it outside. Now, what's the green jerseys? There they are. They have better position on it than Paul Pearson does, and as a result, Howard gets the interception.
Chris Skinner on the carry for the Edmonton Eskimos, stopped by middle linebacker Doug Landry. He'll have a gain of almost 5 yards.
Well, if you can run the ball and get 5, then you keep the defense off balance. You can still run again 2nd down if you want. I look for him to work to the outside, either on Clash or Pleasant for one of those 2 wide receivers.
He's got to get over because they're going to run that ball. Receive.
Don Southern, the secondary coach for the Eskimos, doing some work with his troops as they wait on the bench, and Damon Allen is dropped for a loss. There's also a penalty flag downfield.
The flag came down real late, too. You hear Don Southern talking about throwing the ball down the seam, and that's what they'll try to do to him.
Legal contact on an eligible receiver, number 13, Toronto.
So the penalty is assessed against David Daniels. Pass interference call will bring the ball out to the 37-yard line.
You see Sincar come off the ball. Now, he's too far downfield for that guy to be able to hit him like this. Now, if you want to argue the point, the defensive back is allowed the ground he stands on, you know, but that's maybe a little bit too flagrant right there. That's why he was called.
On the sideline, Stephan Jones, the intended receiver, and it was Reggie Pleasant who came flying across to deflect it out of bounds. Pleasant has played a strong game for the Argos.
Well, Coach Faragelli said that they, in order to move the ball downfield against the zone, they had to hit seams. And the out pattern against the zone is a seam. But Reggie Pleasant, as you say, he said, the heck with it. I may be in the zone, but I'm going to gamble and come up and knock it down, and he did.
7:22 remaining in the first half. 2nd and 10. It's going deep, incomplete. It was intended for Stephan Jones, and Reggie Pleasant was running stride for stride with him.
Had man-to-man coverage with him all the way down the field. Those kind of passes, they're pretty to watch, but they're not hard to throw. Damon Allen just gets back and just lays it up. Let it go as far as you can throw it and hope that your guy wins the race.
13-3 the score. The Eskimos in front. The difference in the ball game, really, that 86-yard punt return by Henry the Gizmo Williams. And that enabled him to set a single-season record for punt returns, 4 touchdowns. That's his 4th of the year. And that equals the career mark of 5 set by Ron Howell. Darnell Clash would like to display his dipsy-doodle abilities as a punt return specialist on this kick by Jerry Cowick. He'll take it up the 35-yard line. And he is stopped at the 39 by Blake Dermott. So that's where the Toronto Argonauts will be scrimmaging following that 39-yard kick.
Saskatchewan, we've beaten you twice this year. You probably think you're going to come in here and beat us. I don't think so. Watch it, September 19th on CBC.
I'm Laurie Scode of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Stuart Hill, you guys stole 2 games from us. You can bet it won't be 3. Watch it on CBC.
At halftime and inside the CFL tonight, we'll be joined live by Edmonton's Hector Pothier. He'll explain how it was he and his teammates were convinced just over a week ago to accept an across-the-board cut and pay. And we'll have a feature report on the Argonauts linebacker Don Moen, number 36. He's something of a well-kept secret in the recognition department. That's on Inside the CFL. Don?
We look forward to that, Scott. Right now, the Argos trying to get something on the board themselves. A deep throw and just off the fingertips of Ken Joyner.
I know it was only a matter of time when they moved Darrell Smith away from Joyner to the other side of the formation, and they got the Eskimos in a man-to-man coverage. It's only a matter of time that they're going to test the covering ability of the newcomer in there, Steve Benjamin, one-on-one with Joyner. Almost a nice catch, almost a great catch. Just couldn't hold it when he hit the ground. The ball popped out.
So it will be 2nd and 10 for the Argos from the 39-yard line. They've attempted to go deep a couple of times, and Joyner had a big game in that victory by the Argos back on August 7th. Conjemi steps up into the pocket. He's hit just as he throws. Stu Hill is the man who flattened the rookie Argo signal caller, and I'm sure he felt the impact of that one.
Well, that's the guy we talked about in the opening, that they were going to have to control on the line of scrimmage, and they didn't do it that time. Conjemi got flushed out again. They get the good blitz. Here comes Stuart Hill. Warren Hudson trying to block on him. He gets around him now. He steps inside, which he's got to do, but anytime you stop like that, hey, those guys aren't going to quit. They get a free shot at you, and he took a good one at Conjemi.
Conjemi is favoring that right arm. Hank Alyssa on the 3rd down kick. Again, there was some pressure, and the kick will bounce out of bounds. No opportunity for Williams to return it. They're looking at the right shoulder of John Congemi, and that is not a good sign. A 33-yard kick that time by Hank Olisic.
No, you don't like to see a quarterback starting to have problems with that right shoulder, because when anything on that right side goes, you're not going to throw the ball very well. But again, on that snap to Olisic, he had to step to the side to get the football. It didn't come straight back. And it goes back to what Coach Farrell-Yelly said in our meeting today. They have a little bit of trouble with that. We want to pressure him. That way, if there's a bad snap, we can recover.
So Danny Barrett warms up, and I think we're going to be seeing the backup on the next Argo offensive series as they continue to work on the right shoulder of the starter, John Congemi. The Argos have already lost a quarterback this year, Gil Renfro. As heard earlier in the season, Congemi is walking, trying to shake off the effects of that hit by Stuart Hill with 5:44 remaining in this second quarter. It's been a rough year for the rookie. Little swing pass to Chris Skinner, and Skinner will pick up about 6 yards. Stopped by Darnell Clash.
Well, at that time, they just try to slip the screen pass out there, the moving screen there. We'll see Gerald Bayless again, one-on-one with the center. Rod Conniff does his job, forces him to go away from where the ball is, but he's got pretty good speed, and he gets in on the pursuit, even though he doesn't get on the tackle. That's a good matchup, Rod Conniff on Gerald Bayless, because they're going to force him to block him one-on-one, and that'll make it interesting.
Is it a catch? Yes. They ruled that Stephan Jones made the reception up at the 54-yard line. Well, Congemi may not have been hurt as badly as we initially thought, but there appears to be some pain as he attempts to throw the football. Watch his face.
Yeah, you can see him grimace a little bit, but, you know, he's talking about his year. He got injured in Saskatchewan, then he goes against the Eskimos, and they land him on his head and knock him out a little bit. Comes back against the Eskimos and gets a shoulder. He may have to get some more insurance.
I think he said, I can throw, but I can't get much on it. Intended for Chris Skinner. It will be 2nd and 10.
Well, let's see what Damon does this time. I think so far now, whenever he's had to have the long yardage, you know, for a first down, he has worked either to Stephan Jones or Brian Kelly on a curl, a turn-in pattern to one side or the other. Let's see if he comes back with it.
Allen, coming into this game, had completed 53.3% of his passes. 12 for touchdowns, 10 were intercepted. Here comes that blitz from Drain, and also getting through is Willie Pletz. And Pletz gets to him, so the Toronto Argonauts have success again as they do much more blitzing in this ball game than we have seen in most of their games this year.
Well, they've come up with a system now that they really like, and that's to bring that halfback and linebacker. Now, Pless comes inside on the rush. Here comes Selwyn Drain. He gets blocked by Skinner, but Chris Johnstone misses Willie Pless, and Willie Pless doesn't miss Damon Allen.
Willie Pless forcing the Eskimos into a punting situation. Well, and Darnell Clash finds some room on this return. So far in the showdown between the two outstanding punting returners, a big advantage to Henry Gizmo Williams. Brian Warren was there to stop Darnell Clash for no return after a 43-yard kick, and John Congemi is hanging in there. No question about the durability and the toughness of this rookie.
That's a tough word to learn, but I'm sure he's happy to get the opportunity to play. That's what he was telling us before the game. He said, I'm playing. That's what I wanted to do. Okay, you're going to take your hits, but get up and keep going.
He's also quite interested before the game in talking about the University of Pittsburgh game this afternoon. Gil Kennedy drives up across the 25-yard line, stopped there by Stanley Blair.
It's surprising. That's the first time they've really got the ball in Fennery's hands. And then we're 3 minutes left in the second quarter before he's got his hands on the football. And he's the guy that they think, with a little bit of experience, he is going to become the real key person, either coming out of the backfield, because he's got good hands, but he's got a very elusive runner. But they got to get him the ball more.
3 minutes remaining in the half. 13-3. The Eskimos lead. Congemi under pressure as Warren was blitzing, and he got 4.
Well, Warren should be happy, but I'll tell you this, Kennedy better block a little bit better than that, or he's going to get Congemi killed.
So the Argos will be forced into a punting situation when we return.
This may be a screen pass because of Finnerty's quick release, but he has still got to take that charge out of him. He can't let him go through there that easy. If that was a screen pass, you must take the momentum away from the defender before you allow him to escape, and he did not do that time.
The Eskimos going after again as Illicit kicks it to Henry Williams. He takes it on the run, fumbles the football, and I think the Argos have got it. No. Somehow Williams was able to get that football back, and all Bob Wabilovich can do is shake his head. A 32-yard kick. Williams trying to field it low on the dead run, and he couldn't hang on.
You know, we always say catch the football, don't let it hit the ground, but in this case, when you're coming up that fast and you try to catch it below the knees, you're going to do just what happened. It'll be fumbled, and with the number of white jerseys around, you'd think they would have got the fumble, but a pretty good effort by the Eskimos.
2:33 is the time remaining. Damon Allen going deep for Kelly. Incomplete. He was being covered by Darnell Clash.
Well, they sat in the zone defense that time, and Darnell Clash just sat to the outside. He didn't go with Kelly's moves. Kelly tried to take him to the inside and then break back, and he didn't do it.
Well, the lights just went out here at Commonwealth Stadium. They obviously have had something of a power failure. And that comes with 2:27 remaining in the half. I think they can successfully complete the half without the aid of the lights, but the second half they'll have to get those lights back on or they won't be able to continue. Penalty flag flies as Marco Sincar was the intended receiver.
We're going to get another illegal hit by Daniels, I think, on Sincar, and I think we're going to get another penalty.
Pass interference. Toronto number 13. First down.
That's twice that Daniels has been called for interference.
Well, when Sincar went down the field, his pattern was to break to the outside. Allen threw the ball to the outside, but he got hit, and hit pretty good by Daniels and knocked him off his route. The referee was standing right behind him and threw the flag.
1st and 10 from the 30-yard line with 2:24 remaining. First half of this game at Commonwealth Stadium. The Eskimos in front, 13-3. There's the drop, the fake on the drop play, and Damon Allen keeps. He did an excellent job of faking to Chris Skinner and then took off and was tracked down finally by Darnell Clash.
Well, that wasn't a pass design play. None of the receivers were looking for the football. Damon Allen either missed the handoff or didn't want to make the handoff, but he didn't have anybody to throw the ball to down there. We talked about the Argonauts in the zone defense. Farragelli did not want to have to keep throwing the ball underneath. He wanted to throw it downfield. And we said the seams are there. He says an out is a seam, and between the halfback and safety is a seam. That's where he wants to work.
To the sidelines, and Brian Kelly makes the catch, and that will be another first down as Ron Moon is over there with Kelly, and Brian Kelly was able to make that reception for an Edmonton first down at the 12-yard line.
Well, they had Landry dropping back out of there from that linebacker position, and he definitely was between Allen and Kelly. But watch it. He misses it, keeps his eye on it, both feet on the ground, keeps it inside, first down.
And Kelly is now at exactly 1,000 yards, and there's the touchdown throw to Marco Sincar.
When you get man-to-man coverage, throw it away from the defender, which he did. Sincar just went up high, put those hands up in the air and pulled it in, but there was no way Daniels could get the football.
Well, a power failure has darkened Commonwealth Stadium, and that reception by Marco Sincar will help put out the lights on the Toronto Argonauts as Cowick adds the point after. 20-3 is the score with 1:50 remaining in this first half. talked about the power failure. It is just the lights that bathe the the natural surface here at Commonwealth Stadium that have gone out. The scoreboard is working effectively, and all other power sources seem to be working. But it is just the stadium lights that are out.
Well, Sincar's had a couple run-ins with Daniels that had Daniels called for a penalty for hitting on pass interference. The first time he didn't hit him, he got the touchdown.
That was the first touchdown of the season as well for Marco Sincar. He had 24 receptions coming into the game, but that is the first one that he's been able to take into the end zone.
Yeah, Marco.
Good job, Marco. Good job.
See, I'm just reading all that you straight.
Dwight Edwards taking that line drive kickoff. Edwards still on his feet, but he's going to lose yardage. At one point, he was up at the 37-yard line, then driven back. Well, following the game, we will be selecting the Canada Lease MVP. Canada Lease, a Canadian public company providing leadership in the world of high technology and capital equipment leasing. Canada Lease makes your money work better for you. 1:41 the time remaining in the half. It is 1st and 10 for the Argos. The ball at the 36-yard line. They trail by 17 points, and John Conjemi, the rookie out of the University of Pittsburgh, continues as the Argo quarterback. Hand off to Gil Fennerty, who breaks to the outside. Fennerty looking for a block, gets one from Joyner, and scurries to the 52-yard line.
Good job. He started out like they wanted to come to the wide side of the field, but we said he's got the good moves and he's an elusive runner. He found the hole to the backside and cut back and got his maximum yardage and then went out of bounds. And that's what they have to do with 1:34 left. Keep the time on their side. See him cut back. You see Craig Schaefer, the middle linebacker, come to his left. He cut back the other way and got outside of it.
Back to the live action. The first down pass is complete. And Joyner will be close to another first down. The Argos would dearly love to put something on the board before going to the dressing room here at halftime.
Well, they need it. Trailing 20-3. They have got to have some points going into the halftime. They need to get some momentum. Joyner was injured on that catch on the tackle by Benjamin. And now Dwight Edwards will come in. He'll play the wide receiver position.
And they were a little concerned with Dwight Edwards over on the sidelines as he took a couple of pretty good hits on that kickoff return. And now it is Ken Joyner who is down.
Joyner was fighting for those extra yards. He tried to get outside of Steve Benjamin, and Benjamin put a pretty good hit on him. Here he makes the catch, try to get outside. Benjamin, we said, is a pretty physical football player. Pulls him down. Really couldn't tell what he did.
Well, Joyner is up, and he confers with head coach Bob Bilovich. Bilovich prefers to wear the headset. He handles a lot of the Toronto offense and is in constant communication upstairs. On the other side of the field, Ferragelli does not wear the headset. Oh, the pass is complete, but what a hit by Don Wilson as he hit Paul Pearson. As soon as he made the reception and turned to look downfield, and there was Don Wilson.
I remember Joe Ferragelli talking about Don Wilson the first time we were up here, saying he's a very, very physical defensive back. Watch the hit he put on Pearson. He goes from standing up to his back in a hurry. And they'll give him that. The defense calls that short yardage and a headache. They love those kind of plays.
2nd and 2, 49 seconds remaining in the half. They get the first down with the pass to Smith inside the 30-yard line.
Still has time. 39 seconds. They're down to the 30. Joyner comes back in the ball game. Got the speed back in there at that wide receiver. Dwight Edwards goes out. So, as you say, Obilovich wears the headset. He talks to Jim Gilstrap upstairs, who coaches the receivers and so on, and he calls the plays on the sideline. He may not signal them, but he calls them.
The clock is running as the Argos scrimmage 1st and 10. Conjemi faked the screen, throws deep, incomplete. He was looking for Joyner. Pretty good coverage by Benjamin.
Well, they throw that stop pattern where Joyner goes down and stops and catches the football. This time he went down, stopped, hesitated, and took off deep and tried to get behind him. Pretty good coverage, though, as you say. Benjamin was right there.
2nd and 10. And Jimmy went running over to the bench as Joyner made his way back to the huddle, and that was a pretty good throw by Jimmy.
Pretty good throw. Looked like it just got down through. Maybe that left arm of Benjamin's got in front of his eyes and he didn't see it, but it was on the button.
Over the middle again. Touchdown! No, they're ruling no catch by Darrell Smith. And the Argos are going to protest this one.
I don't blame him a little bit. I tell you, when you dive and catch a football like that, and maybe we'll get a good look at it on a replay, but from up here, it looked like he caught the football. Of course, that referee standing right down there and has a better look than we do, but I'd have to argue it a little bit.
Of course, with the lights out as well, you might not be seeing as well.
Let's take a look at it. There it is. The ball's out there. Smith's got it in his hands. What do you think? From that angle, now, the ball could have come loose as he was falling, but from the angle that we saw it, the ball was in his hands when he went to the ground.
Well, the official who was there was standing right at the goal line and obviously had a different view of it than we did. Here's the field goal attempt by Lance Chomick, and it is wide. Junior Robinson is going to run it out of the end zone. He fumbles the football. Who's got it? The Argos have recovered with 7 seconds remaining. So new life is breathed into the Toronto Argonauts as they miss a field goal try and now get the ball back at the 21-yard line. And Joe Farragelli is a little upset because Junior Robinson ran it out of the end zone. All he had to do was down the football.
The ball's spinning, really spinning fast. That means he hit it too low. See, Robinson should come up here and fall down. You know, it's not important for him to run for a touchdown right there. All he does is turn it over. But I really like what the Argonauts are doing here. With 7 seconds, they're going to let Jimmy take one shot at the end zone before they kick the field goal. I think this is a good call.
Joyner goes wide to the left. Darrell Smith goes out there as well. Calvin Muhammad to the right. Sideline pattern to Paul Pearson, and he's forced out of bounds down at the 10-yard line. 3 seconds remain.
I like the decision to go for it, but I think if you're going to go for it in that situation, throw it to the end zone. He got the man-to-man coverage that he wanted. They blitzed him, tried to come after him. He has single coverage outside, one-on-one with Muhammad with all that speed. I think I'd have taken the shot at the touchdown.
So now they send out the field goal unit. Lance Chomick this time will be kicking from 17 yards out. Joe Farragelli on the sidelines discussing, I'm sure, that last field goal attempt. It's blocked. James Zachary blocks it. It's picked up by
It's over, that's for sure.
Warren, and I think he's going to go the distance. Ron Howard into the end zone. The touchdown.
Boy, James Zachary came through there and got that big hand up and blocked it.
An 86-yard punt return by Henry Williams, an 86-yard blocked field goal return by Ron Howard.
Well, so far, Bob O'Billerich said they had to control the kicking game. They have not done it. Chomick misses a field goal. They get a second opportunity. They kick an easy field goal, a chip shot. What's number 92? He gets inside. He gets that big left hand up. Bang. There it goes. And Ron Howard, being very alert, he picks it up. John Conjemi doesn't have a chance. He's not going to catch it. Never give up the inside gap. Make the rush come from the outside. That's what will happen.
What a startling turn of events here in the dying seconds of this first half as the Eskimos go to the dressing room with a 27-3 lead.
Is going to run it.
Great goal.
Capturing the moments. The CFL on CBC. CBC Sports presents Inside the CFL.
It is Edmonton 27, Toronto 3 at the half. Welcome to Inside the CFL, everybody. Well, there have been some outstanding games in the league of late, but off-the-field news has been dominated by salary cuts, and that is less than outstanding news for players. The BC Lions are in the midst of negotiating a salary decrease with their players. We're joined live on Inside the CFL by a player who a week ago, along with all his teammates, was convinced to accept an across-the-board decrease in pay from the Edmonton Eskimos. Hector Pothier is our guest. Hector, Hugh Campbell almost made you guys feel good about the cut in pay, we're told. That may be an exaggeration, but you did accept it. How did Hugh Campbell approach it with you?
Well, the players weren't unaware of the situation the league was in, and he was just straightforward out, gave us the options that were available to him to cut his expenses, and we chose this one. As player rep, team captain, both, did you have to do a selling job? Did you have to sell your teammates on this? Yes, in a way I did, because a lot of the players were really against it, but it just as a matter of sitting down enough times, explaining what the situations were and the options were, and after a while the players came around. Hector, is an across-the-board decrease of 10 or 11% fair to players who are making less money, say close to the minimum? Well, that's something that's going to come up, I'm sure, with those players that are close. I don't believe they can go below the minimum. So I think if the cut would take them below the minimum, they couldn't be cut that far. Smaller salaries, less talent, does that follow? I don't agree, because I know myself, I like football. It's 6 months a year as far as having to be somewhere and show up. And if it meant that, I'd have to take a 10 or 20% pay cut, it's still going to give me more money in 6 months than if I worked 9 to 5 all year round. For years, people have accused the CFL of living beyond its means. Might this not be seen as a responsible move to have CFL teams tailor their budgets to meet their revenues? Well, obviously it's quite, fiscally responsible. I would like to see, though, I'm sure we want to see management in all areas, including the commissioner's end of it, tailor their expenses so that it's not just the players feeling like they're taking the cuts. You were told that Hugh Campbell accepted a cut in pay as well, weren't you? Yes, you're right. Yes, he did take a cut. So in summary, what is the attitude on this team right now, given the situation? Well, we just want to win a Grey Cup. We had a rough 2 weeks, week and a half with this. We want it behind us now, and we wanted to start tonight with nothing on our mind but winning football games. Hector Pothier, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for having me. Stay with us on Inside the CFL. When we come back, we'll meet Toronto Argonaut linebacker Don Moen when we return.
The CFL on CBC. It's a whole new ball game.
We have physical abuse of the referee. What do we have? We have Alonzo. 89 is disqualified.
Welcome back to Inside the CFL. There are some players in this league who generate news. Players who have the sort of flamboyance that sees them make headlines no matter what they do. Then there are players who can't buy a headline. Players whom recognition seems to escape no matter how well they play.
And that type of thing, so who knows. The workout stuff does have a lot to do with it, though. I don't think that I would have had the string that I've had if I wasn't working if you don't have the flamboyant nature, a lot of those awards might not come your way, so I don't let it bother me. A couple of years ago, I think it bothered me when the recognition didn't. I think it's tough for her at times, but she hangs in there, and the support is very important.
Well, I was just delighted to hear him earlier in your interview say that I give him a lot of support. I certainly try to, but I'm surprised that it's as helpful as Don was suggesting. But Don does a lot of internalizing and is a very self-directed, self-sufficient man. So, but I'm.
It's funny because you really have to sit yourself down at times and take a look at where you've come from and you've accomplished your boyhood dreams of playing professional sport. And at times you might take it for granted and not appreciate it as much as you should and dislike going to practice and those things. But when you really sit down and take a look at it, you know, I'm living out a dream.
Few players live out their dream in the manner that Don Moen is. He is Toronto's and the CFL's Iron Man.
It's not the most spectacular, but easily one of the CFL's most consistently effective linebackers. Now, here are Ron and Don.
And Scott, the native of Swift Current, Saskatchewan, in the dressing room will probably be talking with the other Argos about those big plays that the Edmonton Eskimos executed to go in front.
Well, that's exactly it. You know, you just think back to our meeting with Bob Obilovich today. He told us what they had to do to win the football game, and control the kicking game was one of them. Well, right away, it didn't get there. Gizmo Williams took the first punt from Hank Kalisic, and he goes 86 yards. I think the big thing with this is watch. He splits the first two. Now, you'll see all the green jerseys over here. He does get the one block, but from there on, it's just straight speed. And the Gizmo there was no chance for Kalisic. He's going to outrun Kalisic if he has to turn around and go backwards. But, I mean, there's no contest. An easy touchdown. Then the Argonauts, right near the end of the half, had a chance to kick a field goal. They get the second opportunity. James Zachary splits an inside gap, which is a no-no as far as offensive coaching goes. Ron Howard gets it after Zachary bats it in the air. And again, John Conjemius doesn't have the speed that Ron Howard has. Those are the two biggest plays, and when you give up a touchdown late in the half to make it 27-3, you really put the pressure on yourself.
Well, it looked like the Argos were going to go into the dressing room kicking a field goal and trailing by just 14 points. Instead, they trail by 24. Let's go down to Scotto.
We'll be back here at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton 1 week tonight for Inside the CFL, when the Saskatchewan Roughriders, trying to regroup, are here to take on the Edmonton Eskimos. The good news at Commonwealth Stadium is the lights have come back on, and they'll be able to kick off the second half when the CFL on CBC returns.
Tradition, CFL style. Jackie Parker. Jim Van Pelt to Kenny Blaine. Russ Jackson. Tony Gabriel. This year, the 75th Grey Cup. The CFL, a great Canadian tradition.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by Carling O'Keefe Breweries. The CFL, it's the game around here. Petro-Canada dealers and agents. Our energy is Canada. And by Air Canada, celebrating 50 years of serving Canadians at home and around the world.
Well, Damon Allen has had a good night so far for the Edmonton Eskimos in throwing the football, even though he has been under some pressure from the Toronto Argonauts, who are blitzing, as we said, more in this game than they have in most games previously this season.
I don't think Bob Obilovich will be disappointed at all in the play of his defensive team. They're getting pressure on him, but he's really going to be upset at the play of the special team, especially when he felt that was so important to tonight's game.
And will Obilovich make a quarterbacking change in this third quarter? Will we see Danny Barrett, or will he stay with John Conjemi?
Well, if he goes with what he told us at the meeting, I say we're going to see Danny Barrett.
Garrick kicking off. The ball bounces to Jake Vaughn back at the 19-yard line. He fumbled the football as he was attempting his return and went down right at the 19-yard line. That was a 58-yard kick. And the Toronto Argonauts are back deep in their own zone to start the third quarter under the direction of John Conjemi.
Well, I figured that with only 144 yards, as you see, a total offense, I figured that he would start Barrett, and if Barrett didn't get it going, get Conjemi back in there. But he must feel that they moved the ball right on the last series before the half. Let's give him a couple series and see if he can get it going.
One of the big differences statistically, that time of possession, 5 minutes, the advantage for the Edmonton Eskimos as Conjemi completes the pass to Calvin Muhammad. He is forced out of bounds over on the far side of the field. By the way, that blocked field goal try by James Zachary was the 6th of his career, and that puts him into a tie for the lead in all-time block kicks with Junior Ayu of Montreal and Frank Andruski of Calgary. So it's been a record-tying night for two individuals, Henry Williams and James Zachary. The pass complete to Darrell Smith. He slips and falls short of a first down.
You know, it almost looks like it's one of those days. You know, I mean, they've made some silly little mistakes that you don't really expect in a football game. For instance, Jake Vaughn gets the opening kickoff of the second and drops the ball with no one near him. Then Darrell Smith is going to make the first down with no problem. He slips. So, you know, it may be just one of those nights, and sometimes you got to play yourself through it, and that's what they're going to have to do. And that guy, they better cover him or they're going to be in more trouble.
Well, Hank Olisic has been under pressure since that very first punt. And Williams returned 86 yards for a touchdown. The Eskimos have been going after him. Williams takes this one at the 40. And finally, he's down by Don Moen. He made the contact and drove him back at the 40-yard line after a 43-yard kick by Olisic.
And he's a little bit slow. Willie Plesser's down there on the tackle, a little bit slow getting up. Damon Allen's got to feel pretty comfortable coming into the second half with the lead at 27-3. But I'm still sure, you know, that the big knock on the Eskimos has been their inconsistency. He'd like to keep this game going. They got a good flow going. Don't do anything fancy, but keep that offense on the field.
Whoa, what a hit on Marco Sincar. Darnell Clash really hit Sincar, and, well, they're both up and on their feet. It looked as though Clash was going to stay down. Marco Sincar just shakes his head as he moves off to the sidelines. Both of them felt that one.
Well, it's that zone defense, only this time Darnell Clash is in the flat. So when Sincar makes the catch, Darnell's got the ideal opportunity because he's got his head turned, looking back for the football, delivers a good blow. Both of them finally get up. They're okay. One holding his jaw and one's got a headache, but that's okay.
2nd and 5. Here comes Moen. He pops the ball loose. And the Argos have got it. Glenn Coca comes up with the football, but it was Don Moen who made the hit.
That's 2 sacks again by Don Moen. And on the same particular play, again, the inside halfback was coming. They blocked him, and as a result, Don Moen really came through like a steamroller, and he really lowered the bloom on Allen. Watch him. There's Gerald Bayless is over here. They're turned out to that side of the field. The blitz is coming the other way. Looks like Bayless is going to pick it up and run. Couldn't handle it. The main thing is they got it back. Possession they need right now.
Well, Don Moen, as he said at halftime, may not get the recognition he feels he deserves, but if he keeps making plays like that one, he certainly will. John Conjemi going for Smith in the end zone. Incomplete. Ron Howard was running with him. It will be 2nd and 10 from the 30-yard line.
Well, let's take another look at Don Moen. There he is. That was a very interesting interview with him at halftime. Well done, very intelligent guy. But you can see he's free. Now, those kind hurt quarterbacks. They always say, what you don't see won't hurt you. That's a lie. He didn't see him coming. I'll guarantee you he felt it.
He had a quarterback sack in the first half, another here in the second, popping the ball loose and putting the Argos in scoring position and a chance to get back into the ball game. Joyner makes the catch, first down at the 17.
And they put the 3 receivers to the wide side of the field, and a halfback, Ron Howard, goes over there and lines up. You are guaranteed a man-to-man coverage backside. It's Joyner against Benjamin, just down and out. You should win that matchup.
Joyner was the key target in the Argos' victory on August 7th, and they've been trying to get the ball to him again tonight.
Pretty good job defensively by the Eskimos. I mean, he had to make the catches he's made, he's paid for, but he was very close to making a couple long ones.
First and 10 from the 17-yard line. Drop play with Fennerty. And about 4 Eskimos combined to bring him down, led by Gary Columbus.
Gary Columbus is the recent acquisition. I think this is his 3rd game. They got him from the Cleveland Browns. They tried to get him after he was released by the Minnesota Vikings, but the Cleveland Browns took a look at him. They let him go, and the Eskimos had known about him. Frank Morris, who was an excellent bird dog, him and Ray Newman, they found him. They got him here as soon as they could.
Second and 5 from the 12-yard line. Oh, in and out of the hands of Darrell Smith. Can't blame Kangemi on that one. The ball was there, even though Kangemi was under pressure from Stuart Hill.
Big pressure right up the middle where the quarterback doesn't want the pressure to come from because he can't step out of the way. The Eskimos line up. Here they come. Schaefer to one side, and then coming around as Stuart Hill comes free. Kangemi gets rid of it. It's on the target. It should have been caught.
Chomik lines up in field goal formation. Kangemi will hold. Trailing 27-3. This time he puts it through. A 19-yard field goal by Lance Chomik with 10:40 remaining in the 3rd quarter. The Toronto Argonauts trailing by 21 points with 10:40 remaining in the 3rd quarter. The Argos in this game attempting to vault over the Hamilton Tiger Cats, the team they beat on Labor Day, and move within a point of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The Bombers at home against the Calgary Stampeders tomorrow afternoon. The Ticats are idle this weekend. Stephan Jones cuts back into the middle. He faked as though he might be handing off to Williams on a reverse and tried to move up the middle. His return limited to 19 yards. Let's bring in Scott O.
Well, Don, playing with pain, describes the situation of Argonaut quarterback John Kangemi. The shoulder injury he suffered in the first half has been diagnosed by the Argonaut medical staff as bursitis in the upper part of his throwing shoulder. The Argo team doctor tells me Kangemi has to keep moving the shoulder or it'll seize up and he won't be able to play.
Well, it's been a rough year for the rookie out of the University of Pittsburgh. As we indicated earlier, he has had a couple of pretty good hits. The one from James Curry, the celebrated incident in that game in Saskatchewan back in July. That put him out for 3 games. And then he hit the turf rather hard on August 7th in the first match against the Edmonton Eskimos, and now that shoulder problem here at Commonwealth Stadium. Chris Skinner slipped in taking that handoff from Damon Allen. He has completed 2/3 of the passes he has attempted tonight. Penalty flag will almost certainly be thrown against Selwyn Drain. He was blitzing from his halfback position, but he was across the line of scrimmage a good yard before the ball was snapped.
Offside. Toronto number 20.
Second down and 12. Come with a halfback blitz like Selwyn Drain. Allen just tries to dump it real quick. Watch him dump it. There goes Selwyn Drain. He's offside. Just dump it quick. That's fine. Go ahead and make the catch. Let him catch it. They throw it to the inside man. They're right up there, Rick Ryan, to make the tackle. They gain 5 yards on it, so they'd have had a punt, but the offside's going to give them another shot at it. They'll give you 5 yards on 2nd and 12.
2nd and 7. Catch is made by Marco Sinkar for a first down. He took it in front of David Daniels. So after that big hit by Darnell Clash earlier in this third quarter, Marco Sinkar went off, holding his jaw, shaking his head. He comes back with a big reception.
Nice reception. We're going to get a good look at it from the reverse angle. Now, first thing, Damon Allen gets turned upfield, gets the shoulder square. He can throw the ball on the money. Sinkar dives out and catches it. Well executed by the quarterback and the receiver.
Sinkar to the bench. Tom Richards goes in. Pass incomplete. It was intended for Rick House.
When we talk about throwing the ball into the seams, we saw there the linebackers were back about 12, the secondary back about 20, the holes in the middle, but the ball wasn't thrown properly. Just couldn't get to it.
This is what the Eskimos have done the last 6 possessions. They've punted twice, fumbled twice, had a field goal, and scored a touchdown. Second and 10. The ball at the 53. 8:38 remaining in the third quarter. Johnston has a big hole, a couple of good blocks down to the 30-yard line, stopped finally by Rick Ryan.
Well, the Eskimos found a way to combat that halfback blitz. Again, Don Moan came, Selwyn Drain came. They slipped that screen out the backside where they have to get off to cover the receivers, and away goes Chris Johnstone behind, good blocking, deep into the Argonaut territory. Here they come. Just dumps it out. Now you see him get out in front. Rudy Phillips makes a block. Steps by one guy, and now he just runs for distance down around the 31. That'll get him out of there.
A gain of 26 yards for Chris Johnstone, and they do have depth at those running back positions as far as Canadian talent is concerned. Johnstone and Skinner are the running backs tonight as they go with the 2 Canadians in that position. They also have Nelson Jones, and they have Blake Marshall, so they are solid at the running back and fullback blocking back position.
And I think they got Spallettini, the kid from Calgary here also. They've got 5 Canadian running backs, and that's why they go the way they do. They're all good football players, and they're real happy with them.
And at the slots, they've been alternating Richards, House, and Sinkar. Allen on first down, throwing to the sidelines, incomplete. Penalty flag. Pleasant is protesting that he made the interception.
Holding, 67 Edmonton.
The holding call against Rod Conop. 8:05 is the time remaining in this third quarter, with the Eskimos in front 27-6.
Rod Conop has a tough job, as we said earlier. He's got Gerald Bayless right on top of him. He's got his work cut out for him. So far, he's won the battles. This time he gets called for holding. But I'll tell you what, he has still done a good job for taking on Bayless one-on-one.
First and 20. Allen going deep, and he's got Richards wide open. Down to the 4-yard line. Tom Richards on the receiving end of a 38-yard strike from Damon Allen, putting the Eskimos in a first-and-goal situation at the 4.
Almost, it's either had to be a zone or just a busted coverage, but they had the Rick Ryan deep in the middle, but Pleasant bit on the out pattern by the receiver. We're going to see the reverse angle. Richards just at the bottom of your screen. The wide receiver goes to the outside, and it opens a big hole downfield, and Daniels just can't get there.
First and goal for the Eskimos. And they get it. The touchdown with Blake Marshall driving into the end zone. And that redeems the running back for that fumble earlier when he tried to vault into the end zone and lost the ball, and it was recovered by Pleasant.
And he's going to take that ball home with him. You know, he won that Mick Crichton Trophy last year at Western Ontario. First pro touchdown. That's a good souvenir to keep. He's going to that end zone. You can't ever accuse him of not having second effort. He almost lost it again, but he managed to hold on, and now he does have a trophy.
And the point after by Jerry Carrick, and that really puts the Eskimos in control of this ball game with 7:33 remaining in the third quarter. We'll be back with the Edmonton kickoff after this. (34-6) the Eskimos lead as they kick off, and Dwight Edwards starts from the 20-yard line and then runs into a wall up in the vicinity of the 40. Mike McLean was among those pushing Dwight Edwards back. A 55-yard kickoff and a 19-yard return. A 28-point deficit facing the Toronto Argonauts. Back on August the 9th, the Calgary Stampeders scored 28 points in the fourth quarter to erase a big deficit and beat the Ottawa Rough Riders, but that's a big task facing the Toronto Argonauts tonight.
Especially against a team like the Eskimos. There again, we see Blake Marshall just going hard for that end zone. Get those shoulders square and get there. Blake Marshall was, I believe, called for unnecessary roughness on the hit. He's in a very aggressive, they like him on special teams, but he was a little bit over-aggressive and it cost him some yardage.
Probably still the adrenaline flowing following that touchdown he scored. Benjamin remains in at quarterback. He was looking for Pearson, who was being covered by Warren. It will be 2nd and 10.
You know, this has got to be a little bit of a surprise when the Eskimos and Argonauts play. The last 4 times they've played, the game has been decided in the last minute. And in 5 of the last 6 games, 6 points or less. For some reason, the Argonauts and the Eskimos have some great battles, but not tonight. I mean, the Eskimos are putting it to them pretty good.
And when you look back at the fumble by Blake Marshall when it appeared as though the Eskimos were driving in for a touchdown in the first half, it could be even worse. Penalty flag as Kangemi is dropped for a big loss. Craig Schaefer was one of those getting to him. Schaefer, the ex-Eskimo who went to the Ottawa Rough Riders and then was reacquired by Edmonton just a few days ago.
Holding, Toronto number 66, declined. 3rd down.
A holding call against Kelvin Prunster. And that puts the Argos back at their own 38-yard line.
Well, you see Prunster right at the bottom of the screen, blocking, I believe, on number 95, Dan Kearns. Kearns tries to take the inside rush. He just hooks him around the arm. No doubt about what that was. He had him all the way.
A high snap. Elisic gets the kick away. It bounces to Henry Williams trying to get to the outside, and a good job of bringing him down by Jake Vaughn, and Williams isn't happy with that return. Vaughn dove out and just got him by the leg after a 53-yard kick.
He kind of expects to run for a touchdown every time he touches the ball, and when he doesn't do it, he gets upset. Somebody's going to drill him on this next week. I can see it coming.
Well, Williams is definitely an impact player working on special teams. He has contributed 4 touchdowns to the Eskimo cause this year. When he has that type of production, they can afford to use him as a specialist. Skinner trying to get to the outside, looking for some blocking help. It doesn't really materialize as he is stopped at the 25-yard line by Rodney Harding and Darnell Clash. 6:02 is the time remaining in the 3rd quarter. 34-6 the score.
Holding, number 59, Edmonton.
And that effort will go for naught as the holding is charged against Leo Blanchard. Well, we talked about the showdown between Clash and Williams. There's not much doubt that the Gizmo has had a decided advantage in this game tonight. Damon Allen is being chased. He gets away from one, gets away from Don Moon, still on his feet, and he'll be very close to a first down.
It's almost just a case of sloppy tackling. I mean, 3 or 4 guys had a shot at Damon Allen and missed him, and you know that's unusual because those defensive guys like to get those hits at those quarterbacks. We're going to watch Damon Allen sprint to his left. 77, Rodney Harding is going to come up the middle. He steps inside. Here he goes. Now he wheels outside. Rod Cunningham trying to help him. All right, there's one miss. Comes Don Moan, gets a hold of the jersey, can't hold him. Now he spins away from Daniels almost makes a first down. In fact, they're going to have to measure.
Dan Sellers was the man who finally got to the Eskimo quarterback. He happens to lead the Eskimos in rushing yardage.
That's one of the things that the Eskimos are concerned about. Their rushing game by their backs hasn't been that productive. Damon Allen on those types of plays, quarterback scrambles, has over 300 yards, and as you say, he leads the Eskimos in rushing. That's not a good sign. Well, we talked to Damon on the field. He's not a very big guy when he's not fully padded, and he's going to take a heck of a beating.
Well, with Danny Barrett getting loose over at that Toronto bench, it could be that John Congemi will retire for the balance of this football game. Allen is throwing deep, looking for Williams. He can't catch up with it. They attempted to utilize the great speed of Henry Williams, and Damon Allen reared back and threw it just as far as he could, but Williams couldn't run under it.
Well, when you see that type of play on second down, you know they're short enough to go for it on third down. Everybody's in. It's a one-man out pattern. Almost David Daniels gets up in his face. But I'll tell you what, you got to be impressed by Pleasant's speed. He stayed with him pretty good down the field.
He did indeed. And Williams now goes to the bench. And on third and less than a yard, the Eskimos will let Damon Allen keep it, and he'll dive across the 30 and pick up the yardage with 4:40 remaining in the third quarter. Well, while we have an opportunity, a reminder that this program is copyrighted and is strictly for the private use of our audience. Any retransmission, distribution, or exhibition in whole or in part without the expressed written consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited. First and 10 for the Eskimos from just across the 30-yard line. 34-6 is the score. The Eskimos attempting to keep pace with the BC Lions, who last night defeated the Ottawa Roughriders. Well, Congemi is having that right ankle retaped. He's also had that shoulder problem. Chris Johnstone will pick up maybe 2 yards.
Landry and Colker. Landry got into the backfield. Colker coming from the outside. Forced Johnstone back inside right into the waiting line with Rodney Harding.
Pretty good crowd in attendance tonight at Commonwealth Stadium, one of the largest of the year in Edmonton. Commonwealth Stadium with a capacity of close to 60,000. They haven't announced attendance tonight, but they were expecting about 40,000 to show up to this game. The catch is made by Stephan Jones. And Willie Pless came a long way to bring him down. Stephan Jones beat Reggie Pleasant to make the catch, and then the linebacker, Willie Pless, came all the way across, but not before Jones had gone 45 yards.
Well, Pleasant took the gamble for the interception. We're going to get a look at it. Pleasant's playing to this side, the bottom of the screen. It's a curl pattern to Jones. He's going to come in front, try for the interception. Doesn't get it. Good concentration, bobbles it. But watch the speed of Willie Pless, because Stephan Jones can run. Rick Ryan forced him to hesitate. That allowed Willie Pless to catch it.
Well, from that reverse angle, we saw that Pleasant went for the interception, and that's the price you pay when you gamble like that. Chris Skinner, the ball carrier, picking up maybe 2 yards. It will be 2nd and 8. The ball is at the 31 of the Argos.
If you make the interception, you're running the other way. You look like a hero, and it's a great move. If you miss it, that's the end results. But I think right now you got to gamble for everything you can if you're a Toronto Argonaut. So I think Pleasant made a good play.
Well, the Argos will be hoping that this man isn't going to be out of the lineup very long, because he's a key ingredient defensively, Gerald Bayless.
All we have to do, Don, is think back to the last year's Eastern Final when he went out early in the football game, and they said that killed their pass rush.
2:47, the time left in the third quarter.
Saskatchewan, we've beaten you twice this year. You probably think you're going to come in here and beat us. I don't think so. Watch it, September 19th on CBC.
I'm Laurie Scode of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Stuart Hill, you guys stole 2 games from us. You can bet it won't be 3. Watch it on CBC.
Well, as we look at the Edmonton mascot, Gerald Bayless has gone to the bench and has been replaced by Blaine Schmidt. He was with the Eskimos during the 1986 season. Damon Allen on second down runs into trouble and will get just 1 yard. And in the process, he loses his helmet when hit by Willie Pless and Dan Sellers. That brings Jerry Carrick into the ball game with 2:29 remaining in the third quarter, and Edmonton leading 34-6. Most people anticipated much more offense from the Toronto Argonauts in tonight's ball game.
Well, I think so. I think that they've got, like we talked about with Coach Obilovich today, they got the excellent speed at the receivers. They like to play a Gil Kennedy in the backfield as a runner and a pass receiver. Their main concern, though, was getting that offense rolling, and they've had their problems.
The kick is wide, and in the end zone, Darnell Clash will concede the single point. So it's 35-6 with 2:06 remaining in the third quarter. And right now, let's bring in Scott Oak down at field level.
Don, I'm with Edmonton linebacker Danny Bass, missing just the third game of his 8-year CFL career, that because of a slight knee sprain. I'm sure you'd much rather be out there sharing in this romp than standing on the sidelines and street clothes talking to me.
Well, it seems a lot funny, you know, just sitting on the sidelines. You see a lot of things happen, but the defense is playing well, and I'll be back next week.
What got into this team tonight? No one expected you to dominate the Argos so.
Well, it's just something I think that the fact that we know we haven't had very good success against them in the past, and tonight guys were fired up and ready to play against them, and so far we've done a great job.
Thanks, Danny.
Okay, thank you.
Don?
Danny Barrett now in at quarterback, fakes the throw, runs the ball, and dives at the 52 of the Edmonton Eskimos for a first down.
The big thing they like about Barrett is they say he will not throw the ball up for grabs. In fact, he's put the ball up 51 times this season, has not thrown his first interception yet. That time he got the pressure, had good coverage downfield, and as Obilovich said today, he can get out of the pocket and make things happen. And he has to get out of it here, pulls it down, and there he goes. Good speed, pretty good size, played slot back, so he knows what to do with the football, and he got down so he didn't have to take a hit.
First and 10 from the 52. He gives to Fennerty, and Fennerty is stopped right at the line of scrimmage. He will actually lose about a yard as the initial contact was made by Stuart Hill. Well, the Argonauts have not had much success the last 6 times they have had the football. They've been able to get 3 points out of a field goal, and of course that blocked field goal certainly turned things around in the final play of the first half. It's been a frustrating night for head coach Bob Obilovich. Barrett throws over the middle to Paul Pearson. He'll be about 1.5 yards short of a first down. I don't think there's much doubt that on third down in this position, they will go for it.
I think they almost have to now with the score the way it is. But again, the Eskimos showed the blitz real early. They all crowded the line of scrimmage. Paul Pearson just came inside when you'll see the linebackers blitzing. He comes into the open area, catches the football, and there to make the tackles Ron Howard. They got to get this. It looks like about 1.5 yards.
And this should also be the final play of the third quarter. Incomplete, intended for Paul Pearson. There's a penalty flag on the play. The call appears to be against the Edmonton Eskimos.
Number 36, Edmonton, roughing the passer.
So that rough play call against the Edmonton Eskimos will enable the Toronto Argonauts to retain possession. And this now should be the final play of the third quarter with the ball at the 28-yard line.
A little bit surprised by that play. They tried that little crossing pattern again out in the flat that they had success for. You see the ball's thrown clearly out of his hands. Isn't a big hit, but it doesn't have to be a big hit. The ball's gone. Leave him alone.
So rather than turn it over, the Argos have a new life. Barrett is going to run this one again, and he's got some room over on the sidelines, and he'll get another first down before being tracked down by Brian Warren. And that is the final play of the third quarter. The Argos will be in scoring position when we come back for the fourth. We'll be back at Commonwealth Stadium next Saturday when the Saskatchewan Roughriders are the visitors. And Ron, I don't envy John Gregory and company their task with the quarterbacking problems they have with the injuries that have occurred, the one to Tom Burgess particularly.
Well, 1 week you lose John Huffnagel with an Achilles tendon and then Tom Burgess with a broken collarbone. If you had any experience, it's both gone. Now you got only Jeff Bentram, the rookie, left. So that is a tough, tough job for Coach Gregory.
Who hammered on the receiving end of that quick toss by Danny Barrett to the 10-yard line. It will be 2nd and 3.
Well, they've got to get this offense moving. They've got to get the ball into the end zone on this drive. I don't know if they can score that many points, although we saw Calgary score quite a few against Ottawa a few weeks back. But you got your work cut out for them, and they haven't had a whole lot of things go their way.
He said after that Calgary-Ottawa game, he didn't think it was possible for a team to score 4 touchdowns in 1 quarter.
I really didn't.
Warren Hudson looking for a first down. He'll be close as he drives to about the 7.
You know, you normally only get about 6 or 7 times in a half to start out with possession of the football, and they score 4 times in the 4th quarter. You can't bat any better than that. That's 1,000.
Well, Lance Chalmers is ready. But I don't think there's any doubt that the Argos will be gambling regardless of the circumstances and the yardage here because they desperately need touchdowns. Chomik, though, will stay loose to add the point after.
Yeah, I don't see any reason for a field goal. They've got to get this first down, and they've got to get it in the end zone and get that offense to work up front, get some holes, and let's run it. They only need a little over a yard.
The Eskimos stack it up, and penalty flag flies. Venerday should have the first down.
Good job of running that time. The offensive line came off hard, but Venerday ran well, too. He went after it.
Offside, Edmonton number 5. Go.
Stanley Blair, who had moved up from his cornerback position right on the line of scrimmage, moved prior to the ball being snapped, so the Toronto Argonauts are in their best scoring position of the ball game.
Tony Johns, the lead blocker. He'll block to the outside on the first thing to show. He leads it. And Finnerty just straight ahead and forces Wilson to pull him down. But they get it anyway with the offside. So now they've got to get it to the end zone.
1st and goal for the Argos from the 4-yard line. 13-12 is the time left here in the 4th quarter. 35-6. The Edmonton Eskimos totally dominating this football game. The end zone pass over the head of Darrell Smith. It will be 2nd and goal from the 4. Ron Howard was defending against Smith.
Good pressure. Stuart Hill once again put Danny Barrett down just as he threw the football. That's a difficult throw for a quarterback to make. The receiver is running dead away from him at an angle. You've got to get it up over the defender and drop it in there. That's one of the harder throws to make.
Well, we talked about the Edmonton Eskimos getting set for the Saskatchewan Roughriders next Saturday. As we look at Darrell Smith, the Toronto Argonauts return home to prepare for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Barrett trying to get that throw away. He was looking for Smith in the end zone again, and there are penalty flags. Stuart Hill was the first man to show as Barrett rolled out.
Pass interference. Number 20, Edmonton. First down, Toronto.
Well, the interference on Don Wilson will put it down on the front. Barrett said, I wish I'd have known that. I wouldn't have to take those hits. He took some pretty good shots as he went out there. Physical halfback, as Joe Farragelli called him. This time a little bit too much, and it puts it down. I think it's going to go to the 1-yard line, I believe, if it was in the end zone.
They're conferring right now, the guilty party, Don Wilson. You know, we talked earlier about the Toronto Argonauts and the changes they have made. The Edmonton Eskimos have made a number of changes in their secondary this season as well.
Well, they sure have, and they've done a pretty good job. Like Don Southern was saying, last year when you have the guys that have been together for a while, you don't have to start on page 1 of the notebook. You already understand the basic coverage of the Eskimos, and you go from there. But when you bring in all the new guys, boy, it's a long time before they're gel and play together, and that has been one of their problems. We said early in the year was their secondary, but they're coming.
1st and goal. Tony Johns trying to vault that line of scrimmage, and they indicate that he is in the end zone, but there is also a penalty flag.
Offside. Edmonton line. Decline. Touchdown.
So the touchdown will stand.
When you hear the referee say the Edmonton line, they lined up offside. The ball's on the 1. They had to be no closer than the goal line, and they probably were. They're inside that restraining zone, the whole line, just calling all of them. Pretty good leap, though.
Tony Johns, who was acquired in a trade with Montreal, went high to score the first touchdown of the ball game for the Toronto Argonauts.
Do you know, Don, there's a technique to leaping over that line. There really is. When they get up in the air, they're supposed to turn, dip the shoulder sideways, and come down at an angle. If you go up straight and try to come down straight, one of those linebackers will stick you right up under the chin, and a lot of times you'll lose the football. But when you get in the air, dip the shoulder down and turn and go in. I learned that with all my experience of leaping.
I understand.
Off the bench when I was standing on it.
Junior Robinson, the injured player. He has been operating at that safety position this year for the Eskimos.
Just a lead play. Tony Johns, the ball carrier. Get in there. Now get into the end zone. See, when you go up in the air, see how they get at him when they get to the body up in front. A lot of things can happen, but he got into the end zone. So at least they get the 6 points. That's what they really needed.
We talked about Junior Robinson. The Eskimos thought they were pretty solid at that safety position with Laurent Delorier, and then he was hurt.
And then Jeff Volpe had to give up football. So, I mean, they lost 2 real good young football players.
Lance Chomick adds the point after for a 35-13 score. We'll be back with the kickoff after this. Lance Chomick preparing to kick off with Stefan Jones and Henry Williams deep. Will the Argos attempt a short kickoff here?
You know what, it's not a bad move. 35-13, 12 minutes left, why not?
Well, they don't. They drive it deep to Stefan Jones at the 20-yard line. Jones gets a block. Penalty flag goes down. Jake Vaughn was clipped. Jake Vaughn was clipped back at the 47-yard line, and that will bring it back.
I saw that happen. I don't know if it was intentional or not. It looked like they were all running, and he did get his legs cut out from under him, but it was a trip more than a clip. I thought he got it just had his legs cut. And the referee was right there, and he called it. That's what happened.
Legal block, number 49, Edmonton.
So Frank Balkovic negates a big run back by Stefan Jones. There it is right there.
There it is right there. Looked like he almost tried to miss him and go around him, but he got just enough of him to knock him down. And the referee being behind it, that's what he saw, and that's why it's coming back.
That takes the ball back to the 36-yard line. Wonder how many people remember that Balkovic was part of the trade that sent James Parker to the BC Lions.
That's right, him and Laurent Delorier.
Chris Skinner continues fighting and works his way out to the 43-yard line before being stopped. Right now, let's bring in Scott O.
Don, the judgment of the Argo medical staff on quarterback John Congemi was that 2 shoulder injuries, a knee injury and an ankle injury was enough of a beating for any man in one night. They recommended he sit, but the score likely dictated that Danny Barrett get a shot at quarterback anyway. But John Congemi, in an extreme emergency, could hobble in there.
Well, if his body holds out, this man has a promising future in the Canadian Football League because he does have a lot of talent, but he has really been getting a rough baptism, and this is his first year.
No one ever said it was going to be easy, did it?
Blake Marshall on 2nd down will be very close to a 1st down.
That's debatable on who hit who. Did Daniels come up and hit him, or did he hit Daniels? But it was a heck of a collision. Daniels went to his back. We know Blake Marshall can run. He ran really well for the Mustangs last year. Even in the game when they lost to UBC in the Vanier Cup, he played well.
6'1", 220 pounds out of Western Ontario, scoring his first professional touchdown tonight.
There he goes. Now watch him come up. Bang. Good collision. Spins around. A few more Argonauts come to put him down, but Daniels felt it.
Sideline pattern intended for Rick House is incomplete. It will be 2nd and 10. as a coach, what are your thoughts in a situation like this? 10:34 remaining, trailing by 22 points.
Are you allowed to play straight time? You know, I mean,
keep the clock running.
30, that's right. Keep that clock running and look at this. Let's get out of here before they score again. As a player, it's frustrating. So I know it's frustrating for a builder. It's got to be.
Allen throws deep for Kelly. He lost the football. They're ruling no catch. Selwyn Grain hit Brian Kelly, and he is still down. The football popped away as well, and they rule no catch.
Don, we said in the opening that if you give the quarterback time, Brian Kelly has the moves to get open, regardless of the style of defense. He caught him in that two-deep zone defense where Clash is in the flat, Selwyn Drain is deep. They get good blocking up front. Look at all the time he's got. That's a great job of blocking by Mark Lisincar. The line does their job. He throws it out there, and Kelly finds the hole in the zone, and then Drain come over and put the hit on him. But if you give the quarterback time, Kelly will get open.
Well, he would have hung on to that football, I'm sure, had it not been for the hit he took from Selwyn Drain. They rule no catch. Skowrick punted in this second half. Darnell Clash on the sidelines. He steps out of bounds. 9:57 is the time remaining. 35-13, the Eskimos lead. Brian Kelly with 92 career touchdowns, and it appeared as though he was going to make that reception until Selwyn Drain arrived and popped the ball loose. And Kelly, the first receiver in the Canadian Football League to go over 1,000 yards this year with his performance tonight. Deep down the sidelines for Mohammed. He can't catch up with it.
Same problem last week. Danny Barrett tried to throw a streak to Mohammed. He's not getting enough air under the ball. It's on a line drive, and he can't run and get it.
Our former colleague, Leo Cahill, now the general manager of the Toronto Argonauts, not looking very happy over what he's witnessed so far tonight. The Argos came into this game very optimistic.
And right, they should be. You know, they have played well. They've got a lot of changes on this football club from last year. Bob Obilovich has been very proud of the way they've played. Tonight, it just isn't their night.
8 new people defensively this season for the Argos. 7 on offense. A penalty flag goes down. The pass intended for Smith, well over his head. It will be against Toronto.
Legal procedure, number 66 on it, declined. Good down.
So the procedure call means that the Argos are forced into a punting situation.
You can feel a little bit of electricity come into the air anytime that they see Williams go back to return a punt. Looking forward to Alisic. They'll boo a little bit, and he'll kick it downfield, and they'll hope Williams can return it.
Well, Henry Williams has 2 CFL punt return records this season. Good high kick by Alisic. Williams trying to go to his right. There's a penalty flag. Ron Howard will be guilty of an illegal block, and all this effort by Williams will go for naught. He isn't aware of it yet, but he'll glance back and see that penalty flag way back at the 30-yard line. Howard protesting, but to no avail.
Howard saying, I didn't hit him, he hit me. He threw his arms out, tried to miss him, but he didn't do it.
28 Edmonton, illegal block.
But there is a buzz of excitement in the spectators at Commonwealth Stadium. Each time the opposition is forced to punt, and Henry Williams is back to receive.
Right here. Howard's supposed to block that man. He got a little too close to him, hit him right in the back. I know he didn't have his arms in or anything, but still an illegal block, so it's got to come back.
Howard still protesting that he didn't do anything. Our reverse angle camera picking up that action. And an injured Argonaut, Don Moan, is being assisted off the field, but Moan is now up. and walking towards that Toronto bench. Bruce Elliott comes into the ball game to replace Moan at that linebacking position. He's the Iron Man of the Toronto Argonauts. 93 consecutive games, 8:39 the time remaining in the fourth quarter. Allen fakes once, fakes twice, fakes again, and I don't know whether he was trying to dump that ball off or just slipped out of his hand.
Well, he pulled it down 3 times. First thing he looked for was Sincar inside. Just as he was ready to throw, 39 Landry showed up, so he pulled it down. He pulled it down 2 more times. Still ended up not getting it to anybody.
Joe Farragelli had an interesting comment today when we visited with him. We'll tell you about it in a moment. Second and 10. Skinner, the intended receiver, incomplete. So it's third and 10 for the Eskimos. I don't know how the topic of age crept into the conversation, but Joe Farragelli said, you know that you're getting older when you coach the son of a player you coached.
Before.
Before.
Right.
He said, I had Paul Robson as a player when I was an assistant coach in Winnipeg. Paul Robson, of course, the former Winnipeg GM, now the GM of the Ottawa Roughriders. And he said, I had his son, Scott Robson, with Montreal. He said, at workout this year, Scott was getting quite excited. And he said, you certainly inherited the genes of your father. Paul Robson was nicknamed Mad Dog with Winnipeg as a player. Darnell Clash. Nowhere to go. The Eskimos making sure on their punt coverage. This was billed as a battle between the 2 premier punt return men in the CFL, Henry Williams and Darnell Clash. The Eskimos indicated that on their special teams, they would be doing a good job of containing Darnell Clash. Tonight, they have done just that. The Argos haven't been quite as successful in attempting to control Henry Williams.
Farragelli said it very clearly, didn't he? We're going to kick it down the field and cover it. We're not worried about Darnell Clash.
Barrett going deep for Joyner. Incomplete. Joyner was running into double coverage there as he had both Mark Norman and Don Wilson running with him. He's completed just 2 of the 6 passes he has thrown. Coming into the ball game late, replacing John Congemi, and I think Matt Dunnigan is probably a little relieved that he was not pressed into service tonight. This is his first game back after suffering that hamstring injury on August the 7th.
He'll stay in that position for this next 8 minutes or so. He's not going anywhere.
Dwight Edwards in motion across the formation. Swing pass to Tony Johns, and Johns is forced out of bounds after a pickup of a yard, maybe 2 at most.
And right up there to get in on action, Mark Norman. He's the rookie, playing in the safety position for Junior Robinson. Comes out of UBC, where he was a cornerback last year with the Vanier Cup champions. Gets the opportunity to play a little man-to-man, come up there and try to take on those linemen. He beat the linemen, which was very smart on his part.
So it is 3rd and 9 for the Toronto Argonauts with 7:07 remaining in the football game, and Toronto trailing 35-13. Stuart Hill was blitzing from his linebacker defensive end position, and the pass complete to Dwight Edwards. Let's see where they place it. It will be close to a first down.
That's one of those situations where the quarterback sees the blitz coming. He knows he's going to get hit. He's got to go ahead and throw the football anyway. Dwight Edwards gets into that middle area and makes the catch. It's just going to come down to where that ball was marked, because he's very, very close to it.
They stretch the chain, and he's got it by the length of the football. So the Argos stay alive with 6:51 remaining in the football game. 35-13 is the score. Ellis Rainsberger, one of the assistant coaches, previously in the CFL with Winnipeg. He's the offensive line coordinator for the Toronto Argonauts. Danny Barrett runs to the 36-yard line, tracked down by Stuart Hill.
It almost looks like right now the Eskimo defensive line is just overpowering the Toronto Argonauts. Whether they blitz with a lot of people or just bring 4, they're getting into that backfield in a hurry. And that man in particular, even if you get away from him, he's got the speed to run you down.
Stuart Hill, who leads the CFL in sacks, has had a lot of success tonight against the Toronto Argonauts. He has made his presence felt.
He's done that every game. They say he's having a great year.
Tony Johns trying to get a first down, and he'll succeed. Fighting to the 30 of the Eskimos, stopped by Brian Warren. I talked about all the changes that the Toronto Argonauts have made defensively. Offensively, they have an entirely new backfield.
Yeah, you know, they say 4 changes is about a maximum you can make in a year and expect to have success. The Argonauts have, you know, kind of a little bit of dispelled that theory. They've done pretty well. Tonight's just one of those nights they haven't had the offense in gear tonight.
First and 10 from the 30-yard line. Barrett was looking for Paul Pearson, and Mark Norman came flying out of nowhere to knock it away.
Did a good job. Norman just hung back there on the goal line. They had one receiver, I think it was Joyner, going deep, and then Pearson just going to try to come into that open area. Norman stayed where he should have until that quarterback cocked the arm, and when he cocked the arm, you'll watch Norman take off and go to the football. That's a drop and roll. They do a good job of blocking. Watch number 23 come in there in a hurry. Good defensive play.
Paul Pearson standing there waiting for it, thought that he was going to have the ball float right into his arms until Norman, the UBC product, arrived in the scene. John Mandarich is the injured Edmonton Eskimo. 5:26 is the time remaining in the 4th quarter. John Mandarich was able to get up and walk off to the Eskimo bench, so I think he'll be back. But he was one of those who was hurt in that first meeting against the Toronto Argonauts, along with Matt Dunnigan. Calvin Mohammed on the receiving end of the throw, and then he trips over on the sideline onto the running track that was initially used here at Commonwealth Stadium for the Commonwealth Games of 1978 and then the University Games of 1983.
We're going to get another roughing the passer call, and he was dumped late, and again it's going to be Stuart Hill, I believe.
First down, son.
So that rough play call moves the ball to the 11-yard line with 5:17 left. Paul Pearson into the ball game. Dwight Edwards goes out. Joyner goes wide to the left. Mohammed lines up to the right. Barrett throws into the end zone, incomplete. He was looking for Paul Pearson. It will be 2nd and 10.
Man-to-man coverage with 3 receivers on the same side of the field, all going down the field and then going to the outside. Put 6 people in the vicinity of the football. That's too many.
Bob Ovilovich signaling plays to the quarterback. The Argos call most of the plays for their rookie quarterbacks, and they have a system whereby one person at the bench is live in signaling plays. That so the opposition can't steal the signals.
Yeah, some quarterbacks will steal signals and they'll relay them or they'll catch them from the bench. All you want's the blitz, like that.
When Brian Warren had that clear path to the quarterback, he made no mistake.
You know, you have to be impressed with the speed of Brian Warren. He came in there in a hurry to make the sack, but on that play right at the end of the 3rd quarter when Danny Barrett got outside running, he ran by Larry Ruck, but Warren, number 38, ran him down. Watch, he'll come free from the outside. No escape for a quarterback when that happens. I think we get an unsportsmanlike call on the Eskimos. They threw the flag down real late.
Well, the Argos have been the beneficiaries of some penalty calls late in the ball game.
Down in the lobby this morning, Dan Ferroni was sitting down there around 8 o'clock this morning. Told him, I said, you're up awful early. He said, that time change has got me. He says, I'm an early riser anyway, but he's all by himself. No one else in the lobby. He was just sitting there.
I'm surprised you weren't down there at 6 a.m. You're usually up bright and early as well.
I was up at 6. I was reading the paper.
So that moves the ball inside the 10-yard line.
If I'd have known he was in the lobby, I'd have went down and talked to him.
But it is still 3rd and about 8. Barrett is going to run. Can he get into the end zone? One official signals touchdown, and Barrett is just across the goal line.
Craig Schaefer didn't like it. He's arguing with the official, says he hit on the 1. It doesn't matter. He got into the end zone. That was a good job of escaping the rush. He had nobody open downfield. Good speed. Watch him. Watch that hole open up. This is why you tell your defensive lineman, stay in your lanes. Don't let him escape. Good job of blocking. Now it's just a race. Am I going to get there before they get me? All you have to do is break the plane. I would say he was in there.
And the official right on the line signaled touchdown, and the point after by Lance Chomik. And the score is somewhat more respectable now, 35-20 in favor of the Edmonton Eskimos.
See it right from ground level. Stay in your lanes, defense. Don't let that quarterback escape inside. Once he does, it's just a race. Here he goes. Let's see what he does. Schaefer's the guy coming from the inside. He lands on him just as he goes into the end zone.
Well, as we've mentioned before, we've already seen one rather miraculous comeback this year in the Canadian Football League. The Calgary Stampeders on August the 9th, trailing the Ottawa Rough Riders by 26 points and then scoring 28 points in the fourth quarter to win. 4:05 remaining, and the Argos trailing by 15 points. So it is possible that they could engineer another major comeback.
I think the Eskimos are expecting the short kick this time. They got their short kickoff team, or hands team that they're called, all the receivers and backs and so on, guys who catch passes. They're all up there anticipating it anyway. I'd say they're probably right.
Well, Lance Chomik keeps his streak alive of consecutive converts, but he's got a long way to go to catch up to the man who holds the record, 324 by J.T. Hay of the Calgary Stampeders. Now they're going to kick it deep again. Stephan Jones on the return. And Dan Sellers is the first man there to make contact with him with exactly 4 minutes remaining. A 15-yard run back after a 58-yard kick. Following the game, we will be selecting the Canada Lease MVP. Canada Lease, a Canadian public company providing leadership in the world of high technology and capital equipment leasing. Canada Lease makes your money work better for you. Well, the Argos right now have to stop the Edmonton Eskimos and then quickly score. Damon Allen is flushed out of the pocket, but he has a lot of room over on the far side, and he wisely slides into the sidelines after picking up a first down.
He very wisely did slide into the sideline, but the one thing he did also is stay in bounds. That'll keep the clock running, using his head, but the main thing he wasn't going to take the hit, which is that's a great thing for the coach to stand there. He's got to be worried when he sees Allen running this late in the ball game. He's got to be hoping, get down.
And Allen has taken the clock down to 3:07. The Argos desperately need the football right now, and the Eskimos are trying to keep it away from them. Incomplete. Penalty flag flies. A late hit, I think, is going to be assessed on Doug Landry for decking Damon Allen. Well, the referee's job is to watch that quarterback, and Ken Lazarick was watching Damon Allen. And that comes with 2:56 remaining in the game. Roughing the passer, the penalty call on Doug Landry, and that moves the ball to the 51 of the Toronto Argonauts. First and 10, Edmonton. Allen got the pass away just as he was hit by Glenn Kolka. It will be 2nd and 10 with 2:44 remaining.
A little bit surprised by that with 2:56, 15-point lead. You would think they would run the football a little bit, eat some time off that clock, keep that clock running, but it was 2:56 when they blew the play in. They'd used 12 seconds, but now the clock is stopped until it's put back into play.
Stefan Jones comes wide to the left. Brian Kelly back in the lineup. He lines up right. Allen is going to run it this time. And he's going to get a first down. It looked as though he was going to be stopped after a pickup of just a couple of yards, but he was able to break away from the would-be tackler, and he provides the Eskimos with another first down and more opportunity to run those valuable seconds off the clock. We said earlier that the crowd was anticipated to be in excess of 40,000 tonight. Indeed it is. 40,486 watching the action at Commonwealth Stadium. The Eskimos are hoping that they'll all be back and bring a few friends next Saturday when they entertain the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Chris Johnson takes that swing pass to the line of scrimmage, stopped by middle linebacker Doug Landry with 2:30 the time now remaining.
The play when Allen ran with the football, he went out of bounds and stopped the clock, but he did make the first down. So if you make the first down, you got a few more shots at it. Doug Landry's having a little bit of a problem. Holding back with his leg like a hamstring area.
He tried to get up and get back into that defensive huddle, but he had problems regaining his balance.
Well, you see that little slip screen out there to Chris Johnstone. He went out and made the tackle, and as you say, he slipped. And a lot of times that's all it takes to pull those hamstrings is a slip.
Landry out of Louisiana Tech had a strong game in his debut as an Argo against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So he moves out, and Bruce Elliott comes in for Toronto. 2nd and 10 with the clock running. Here comes pressure from the backside, but he was able to get the pass away, and Marco Sinkar has another first down. Selwyn Blaine was roaring in from the backside, but couldn't catch up with Damon Allen, who fortunately for Allen was rolling away from him.
Very fortunate. That's the ideal situation. They're going to blitz on one side. If you roll away, they got a long way to come to get you. And as you see, here's a highlight. He gets those shoulders turned very well upfield to his left. Gets into the hole. Sinkar does, catches the ball. 2:11 left, first down.
Damon Allen has proven rather elusive at times as he squirmed away from would-be tacklers to the 20-yard line, finally stopped by Blaine Schmidt.
Just slippery. They brought the blitz at him again, naturally, which they've got to do. They saw it coming, stepped inside. Only this time, nowhere to run inside. As he got upfield, they just converge on him, keep him contained, put him on the ground.
Blaine Schmidt came into the ball game in this fourth quarter to replace Gerald Bayless. We're into the final 2 minutes of the game. Over the middle, this is a touchdown, and Chris Skinner was in full flight as he took that throw from Damon Allen.
Yeah, really blessed covering man-to-man. Skinner got inside of him, made the nice catch with the hands. Tell those receivers, use those hands. Boy, Chris Skinner just reached out there, plucked it. Easy jog into the end zone.
Skinner got in behind the linebacker so quickly, and he didn't even have to break stride to grab that throw.
He said, I do it all the time. There's nothing to it.
41-20 the score now in favor of the Eskimos as Cowrick attempts the point after. You know, when the Argos moved to within 15 points, there was still a little better than 4 minutes remaining. We have seen teams score 2 touchdowns in less than a minute. So it was possible, but they couldn't get the ball back.
That's right. Right. You see the blitz, no underneath help. Willie Pless allowed Skinner to get underneath him, which means the quarterback can throw it in a direct line, doesn't have to throw it over him, and that's usually the result.
That's how Bob Obilovich reacted when he saw that throw. He just glances up at the clock and wishes that it would keep on running.
That's been a tough evening for him. A lot of the things that he didn't expect went wrong. I know he was concerned about Williams, but he thought they could contain him. They didn't. So when you allow a guy to go 86 yards with a blocked field goal from that short a distance, that's a big, big play.
Well, he felt very happy, too, about the play of his defensive club after the performance against the Hamilton Tiger Cats on Labor Day.
Yeah, I felt they were coming on. As he said, he's got a lot of changes over there, playing with a lot of young guys. But he said they have played extremely well, and he's really felt that by the end of the season, they would be a great unit. Well, you're not going to improve every time out. You're going to have to take your lumps once in a while, and it looks like tonight's the night.
Jerry Cowra kicking off to Dwight Edwards, and Glenn Edwards runs into a traffic jam up at the 38-yard line. Craig Schaefer and Columbus were there to make contact with him. The executive producer of the CFL on CBC is Arthur Smith. Tonight's game was produced by Doug Sellers. Our director, Ron Harrison. Isolation director, Fred Fleming. And of course, there are many other people who help contribute and make our CFL telecast possible. Ken Joyner took that bullet toss from Danny Barrett up to the 54 of the Edmonton Eskimos. And Barrett really fired that one in there.
That's exactly what it was. You called it a bullet. Eskimos are in the zone, but watch that ball get there in a hurry. Bang. You see the linebackers are back. Secondary converging, but that ball got in there quick.
First down. Barrett's pass complete again, this time to Darrell Smith. He's forced out of bounds by Craig Schaefer, and there are penalty flags on the play. 1:19 is the time remaining. 42-20, the Eskimos lead the Argos. The Eskimos moving back into a first-place tie with BC in the West with this win tonight.
Pass interference in the 38 Edmonton.
Brian Warren is fingered for pass interference.
Those last two passes, Danny Barrett's thrown, they've been on the line. He's got a pretty strong arm.
Quite an interesting story. Danny Barrett starting the season, then being dropped and rejoining the Argos and emerging as their hero in a win, and a very key win on Labor Day against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. First down from the 39-yard line. Incomplete. The intended receiver, Joyner, slipped as he was trying to make his break on that pattern. The BC Lions, with their 7th win of the season last night over Ottawa, now with 14 points, and the Edmonton Eskimos will post their 7th win of the season and join the Lions atop the CFL standings, but the Eskimos have played one more game. Calgary in 3rd place, in action tomorrow in Winnipeg against the Blue Bombers, who lead the East. Penalty flag goes down. The pass intended for Darrell Smith. Probably a holding call against Toronto.
Number 51, Toronto.
That's Randy Ambrosi, a University of Manitoba product who was with the Calgary Stampeders earlier this season.
Well, the Argonauts have to go home and get ready for the invasion of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So they was hoping tonight to bulk by them and get within 1 point of the Blue Bombers. But now they're going to have to fight with Hamilton again. Those three teams are very, very equal. It's going to be a heck of an Eastern battle.
Yes, a lot of people thought that when the Winnipeg Blue Bombers were switched to the East with the demise of Montreal, that they were guaranteed a first-place finish. That has not been the case.
No, I wouldn't start counting money yet.
Barrett's low throw for Joyner. And it will be 3rd and 20 from back at the 48-yard line with 1:03 remaining.
that was almost, you know, that's about an ideal situation for a quarterback. Danny knows it's his ball. He's kind of kicking the ground a little bit. You got no underneath coverage. The linebackers were blitzing, which means now all you got to do is throw it straight at the receiver, and you got no problem. You threw it in the ground. He knew it was his fault.
3rd and 20. All sorts of pressure. Barrett tries to dump it off, but the closest man was an offensive lineman, Dan Ferroni. Boy, he attracted a crowd of people that time.
Yeah, that football has been known to do that. On 3rd down, they know they're going to have to throw the football.
Well, you know, the Toronto Argonauts have had the Eskimos number for a couple of seasons. The last time that the Eskimos won was 2 years ago on July 5th, and they eked out a 2-point win here at Commonwealth Stadium.
These two teams have really put on some pretty good battles. This is a very unusual one. I think you got to go back about 6 years or so, 7 years maybe, to get a score that's been in the 20-point range. I think it was 143 to 26 or something, but most of them are close.
And the last few games here at Commonwealth Stadium have gone right down to the final minute. Well, we're in the final minute in this 1987 battle, but there's no doubt about the outcome. The Eskimos leading by 22 points as Skinner is stopped by Blaine Schmidt. Skinner scored a touchdown tonight, and when he took that pass, the last touchdown for the Eskimos, it looked as though he was going to keep on running right out of the end zone and up into the stands.
Well, if there'd have been a gate there, he could have ran anywhere he wanted because he was all by himself.
A loss of 4 on that play. Make it 3, actually. Draw play on 2nd and 13. Skinner again, and he gets back up to the 53-yard line with just 25 seconds remaining. The Eskimos next Saturday will be at home to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and the Toronto Argonauts will be at home to the Hamilton Tiger Cats a week tomorrow. Damon Allen coming off and chatting with Matt Dunnigan. Many people still believe that the Edmonton Eskimos have the best 1-2 quarterbacking combination in the entire league in Damon Allen and Matt Dunnigan.
There's a lot of people that believe that Dunnigan is the leader of this football team. They say that Dunnigan is the competitor. You know, he is a driver. As Joe Farragelli told us at the meeting today, they felt that he will get on people and they don't do their job very well, and he said it looks better for him to do that when he's in uniform rather than street clothes. But Damon, on the other hand, is one of those very carefree individuals. He's always happy, he's always smiling, and he really enjoys, I think he just enjoys whatever he's doing, and in this case, playing football.
Well, Darnell Clash will get one more opportunity in this ball game to demonstrate his skills as a punt return specialist. Good hang time on that kick by Coward. Clash ran into Craig Schaefer at about the 24-yard line. And that was a 7-yard return after a 41-yard kick with 14 seconds remaining.
Well, Coach Farragelli said they were going to kick it down the field and cover it. That's kind of challenging their special team. You're challenging that punt team, the kickoff team, that, hey, they got a good guy down there. If you got any pride, get down there and cover him. And he said, we're just going to kick it and cover it, and they've done that tonight. It's been a big part of the football game.
Barrett goes to the sidelines to Ken Joyner. He'll be very close to a first down. He was forced out of bounds by Steve Benjamin. 8 seconds remain. The Argos will be heading to the airport directly from Commonwealth Stadium and taking an overnight flight back to Toronto, and then spend the week getting ready for the Hamilton Tiger Cats a week from tomorrow. That is a very key game for the Argos as far as that Eastern Conference race is concerned. Sideline pattern to Joyner again, and he steps out of bounds with 4 seconds remaining. Last night, BC beat Ottawa. A lopsided decision in that one, a rather lopsided verdict here tonight. The final game of Week 12 takes place tomorrow at Winnipeg Stadium as the Blue Bombers entertain the Calgary Stampeders. Stampeders riding a 3-game winning streak, 2 under their new coach.
A lot of people talked about the Calgary win over Edmonton being an upset. I don't really believe so. The Stampeders have a lot of good football players. Just go back to last year. They played really well, and I think they're starting to come back now. They're off the chart.
Barrett throwing deep. This one is intercepted. Mark Norman has it. And he simply steps out of bounds because that is the end of the ball game. So the Edmonton Eskimos move back into a first-place tie in the Western Division with the BC Lions with their 42-20 win over Bob Obilovich and the Toronto Argonauts. And the Argos remain in third place. Early in the ball game, Henry the Gizmo Williams demonstrated his superiority as a punt returner, scampering 86 yards for the major score.